them again. I said, look, I'm from, right? I started selling vacuum sealers door to door when I was 15 years of age. My mom had breast cancer when I was 15 years old. She's still here, 79 years old. Give her a round of applause, please. But when I got the phone call, I'm thinking to myself, why me? And the guy says, because there's always a catch, right? And I'm like, how much? Now I get paid to speak, when back then they wanted you to pay to speak. Does that make sense? So I said, what's it going to cost me? And he says, well, you're going to get some great recognition. You're going to get out there. And you're going to really just put your name out there, and people are going to know who you are. It's getting seen, right? I'm asked to speak about creating opportunity today, and I'll tell you guys this. The best way to get seen is to put yourself out there, so take risks. How many of you okay with social media? Raise your hand. Should be everybody, okay? If you're not okay with social media, and I'll tell you, you're missing a platform that has changed the lives of so many people for years to come. This is the best year ever, 2021. Somebody tell me why. Amen, it's this year. But why is it? How was last year? It sucked. It was bullshit. I don't care where your political stance is. If I ask who's for Trump, you're going to raise your hand for Biden? No, don't do that. Because here's the truth, right? Anytime you guys have the ability to believe in something and who you are as an individual, you create the opportunity by just expressing who you are. So I could come up here and I can give you tips in marketing, which I know really, really well. I could come up here and explain to you guys and give you motivation. But if you don't make that choice, you can't create opportunity. You can talk, a lot of people talk a really big game. This year I'm going to do this. How many of you have your goals written down? And please do me a favor, when I ask you a question, don't just participate. I want you to know the number one rule in creating opportunity. Does anybody know what that is? Say it. Goal setting. Pretty good. What else? Who else?
Start.
Start is a very good one. Who else? Okay, good. Who else? In the back here. Who else? Sir, great. How about yourself? You got nothing? Well, I'm glad you did. What's the number one rule to create an opportunity? Risk. Very good. Very good. Yes. Love that. You guys want to know what the number one rule is? Yes, ma'am. Please, go ahead. Talk to others. Really get seen. You guys might be surprised by this, but it's don't lie to yourself. That's my number one rule. Because when we go on social media and we walk out into this massive opportunity that we think that we can create, we lie to ourselves and others about who we are as individuals, and we try to put on a front. I drove a Bentley the first time I could afford a Bentley. And I was driving around, and then I wrapped it with Make Sales Great Again. Who the hell wraps a $200,000 car? It was me, I wrapped it. And then I thought to myself, wait a second. I've got a lot of money in the bank, but I just spent X amount of my income for a Bentley to get seen and lie to people because I felt like I was showing people that I'm richer than I am. And my company had just started, and I'm trying to promote myself as somebody that knows what I'm doing. It was bullshit. I was lying to myself. I couldn't create that opportunity. So a lot of you guys are out there right now, and you're putting on a front. The whole fake it till you make it, all that stuff. Listen, there's some value to that. I want to be clear, but it's not always true. The way you create opportunity is just being honest with who you are. This is me. I'm not going to be for everybody, and that's okay. I'm loud, I'm obnoxious, I cuss. God is first in my life, no matter what, then family, then opportunity. Let's be very clear. So when I look at what my options are in life, I say two things. People say, what are you most grateful for and what's your why, right? We talk about what's your why. Every motivational speaker, what's your why? What's your why? How many times are we going to hear this? You know what your why is. I don't need to ask you guys. That's not a motivational speech. That's me copying somebody else because it's common sense. And let me be clear. Any opportunity that you've already created for yourself or want to create for yourself, somebody's already done that. There's no innovative ideas that have changed the world in our day and age because somebody's already thought about it. Somebody's already done it. The question is how are you going to pivot and do it differently? How are you going to get seen? I do it because no one ever told me that I could be a motivational speaker and have I will say now an 8-figure this year, first year ever, 8-figure consulting company. Where I go in and I train CEOs and CSOs, chief sales officers, and I go in and I sit with the chief financial officer, which I know I don't look that smart. but I know P&Ls and budget analysis better than anyone. I can teach leadership and sales better than anyone. Call it ego. I don't care what you call it. It's confidence because I know what I'm good at. I stay in my lane. But if you want to create opportunity, you have to be grateful first. What's something you're grateful for, sir? Of course. What else? Yes, ma'am. Peace of mind is awesome. It's the way to live. What else? Somebody, please. Amen. Let's talk about that, right? Opportunity comes with money. Do you have to have money to create opportunity? No. Do you have to have money to be rich? Does money make you happy? Yes, it does. You guys are lying your asses off. Don't tell me. You want to drive a Pinto or a Bentley? Don't lie, be honest. Everybody wants the Bentley. You're not here taking time out of your day because you guys don't want to make money. Am I right? You talk about family. Family's not just, they're not just your why, what you're grateful for, but do you want to provide a better life for them? Dude, I raised 2 kids on my own for 12 years till I met my current beautiful wife. I got a 23-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 6-year-old, which, by the way, I get paid a lot of money to speak like this. I'm doing this for Linda because Linda helped me flip my first house. I'm here for her, but I'm also here for me to get noticed. Let's be very clear. I'm going to be honest. I want to put my name out there. I didn't come as a gift. I did it for her because I love her and I know who she is as an individual, but I did it because some of you don't know who I am, and that's okay. Some of you may not work with me, but if I get one person that calls me up one day, hey, Todd, we might need your services. But you got to be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. That's the #1 rule to creating opportunities. Don't lie to yourselves. Because I did it for far too long. I remember I kept telling myself every day the fake it till you make it was twofold, right? It was put myself out there so people can see who I am, but let's create some synergy with someone that's powerful enough to teach me how to do things. But the honesty I had to tell myself is I don't know how to train a CEO. I don't know how to train a CSO. I know sales. Anybody go to college? Here, raise your hand if you went to college. Keep your hand up if you've served in the military and gone to college. Thank you very much for your service, who has, by the way. And congratulations for you guys going to college. I don't have 1 day of college, not 1 day. Does it make anybody better than someone else because they have a higher education? Does it give them more opportunity? Not really anymore. And I'm going to tell you guys this. This is no disrespect to whoever has a master's, a degree, a PhD, or all the digits after their name. It doesn't. Because I'll tell you guys this. 15 years old, knocking doors, selling vacuum sweepers wasn't a choice. It wasn't an opportunity. It was to keep the electricity on. It was to give my family a chance to fight back when my mom was laying on her deathbed. The only time I ever saw her for a year was when she was either sleeping or throwing up. That's it. And I remember sitting there on my dad's deathbed when he passed away in 2017, and he says, hey, Todd, here's what I want you to do. Day before he dies, write your book, this book. He says, write this book and put it out in the world. And by the way, I'm not a writer. I wrote a book. Letters, huge, because I hate reading, by the way. I wrote a book, I hate reading. There's an audio book. Find it. I don't care. Listen to it, don't. My dad said, write a book. I procrastinated like everybody else, because some of you are lying about procrastination. You're procrastinators. Somebody asked me to do something now, it's done, just like this. I don't hesitate. I don't wait to call someone back. I don't wait to text someone back. Why? Because you guys are lying if you can't respond to somebody because of this piece of technology. This is something we didn't have when I was growing up. Not pagers, not shit. But this piece of technology can change your lives. This is opportunity. But some of you let it slip through your fingers because you're so busy saying that you don't have time. Listen, I've heard all the excuses in my life. Opportunity can be taught as long as you don't make the excuses and lie to yourself about where you want to go through the goals and stuff that you want to achieve in life, because it's all bullshit. See, do me a favor. Don't tell me you don't have the time. When you guys come to me and you talk to yourselves, you talk to your leaders, you talk to your reps, you talk to your associates that work for you guys, which I say work with, not for, by the way. Change your verbiage. Nobody works for anybody. And ask them, do you have the time? Because your leaders, your brokers, people don't want to work for you, they want to work with you. Be nice. But don't tell me you don't have the time. Just tell me it's not important enough to care. Do that. Because that's honesty. Brad Lee, I don't know if you guys ever heard of him, one of the best entrepreneurs in the business right now. This guy is a powerhouse. He's a stud. He is just crushing the game and owns a multitude of different businesses. One time he was on my podcast and I asked him, I said, Brad, let me ask you something. Tell me about time. He goes, well, one thing about time, it's very difficult, right? Because you feel like it's limited, right? And I go, yeah, he reeled me in. He said, how many hours in a day? Somebody answer that. How many hours in a day? Right? You know it's a trick question. You know it's coming, right? And I said, yeah, 24. He goes, no. He goes, there's unlimited hours in a day. I said, why? He said, Todd, did you go to college? I said, no. He said, me neither. He goes, but guess what? I have 4 master's degrees and 2 PhDs. I said, well, how'd you do that if you didn't go to college? He goes, I hired him. I created more time. See, that's what you as brokers do, right? Your job is to create opportunity, not just for yourself, but for the people that want to work with you. Your job is to hire people. Your job is to give them opportunity to go out and be the best realtors they can be. But they don't want to work for you. They want to work with you. So when we talk about creating opportunity, it's not just money. It's changing lives. Second biggest rule for me in my life is give more than I take. I give way more back now because I grew up with nothing. I grew up in an environment where I knew every single day that life could get better as long as I sold myself that it could, and I believed it. So when I'm standing next to my dad on his deathbed, I'm holding his arm the day before he dies, right? True story. I get the chills. Sorry if I cry. I'm Italian Irish. I'll fight everybody in the room, and I'll cry while I'm doing it. It's fine. I'm emotional. I also cry when someone wins American Idol. It's weird. I don't know. I feel energy. But I'm sitting next to my dad on his deathbed, and I'm holding his arm like this. And you know what I asked my dad? Or I told my dad, I said, Dad, listen, I heard you the day before. You told me you wanted to write a book, but I procrastinated. So I'd write a chapter for 6 months, and then I wouldn't write another one. He's like, you have to tell your story, Todd. I put you in a position to fight back when you were young. My parents were broke, but they were the richest people in love. But it's better to have finance and love combined. Would you guys agree? Because you're not happy unless you have the money to provide a life for the family, which is your why, that you want to enjoy. You can't enjoy life without money. Don't let any people lie. Don't let people bullshit you, okay? Don't do that. You need money to enjoy life. But I remember there and I said, Dad, I will tell my story. I will write my book. I didn't know if he could hear me because he was all drugged up. They were making him feel comfortable. I didn't know if he could hear me. And I'm holding his arm like this. I'm going to write my book. I'm going to go on stage. I'm going to speak to people. I'm going to change lives. I'm going to do it because of you, and I love you. And I couldn't know if he heard me. And all of a sudden, I got this. I get emotional now. I tell every time I get emotional. So I'm sitting there, and 2 squeezes changed my life, just like this. Is that opportunity? See, I can sit here and write down ways to market and put yourself out there and teach you guys sales skills and leadership skills to create opportunity, but it's all bullshit unless you have the drive and the determination. You actually do what you say you're going to do. See, you as leaders, as brokers, you guys can't say that you're going to do something, don't do it. Don't do that. Because people that work with you, they want to know that the broker they're working with, not for, does everything they say they're going to do. How many of you have been disappointed before in your life? Raise your hand. I bet everybody. Don't lie, right? How many people have felt like you worked for somebody instead of worked with them? Raise your hand. I know you have. So if you have the opportunity to create this business now, this massive opportunity for realtors to come work with you, not for you, do what you say you're going to do. Let me tell you something. I wrote that book in 30 days after my dad passed away. It went Amazon bestseller for 9 months, right up there with Grant Cardone. I was shocked. I self-published it. I'm telling you, people called me and they go, Todd, there's misspelled words in there. I go, I don't give a shit. And they go, Todd, there's things that you need to change in the book because it's not grammatically correct. And I go, I don't give a shit. And they go, why? And I go, it's funny because I didn't know you until you decided to find my number and called me. Would you like some coaching? Opportunity. Was it intentional? No. But I wrote the book because I wanted people to read it as if I'm speaking it to them. No, I'm not the most grammatically correct person. No, I'm not the smartest person in the world. But as you read my book or you listen to my audiobook, which I have on Audible. It's way better than this book, actually. It's the same book. I just did it on Audible. It's amazing. I fixed a lot of that, but I like speaking. I don't like writing. And I remember when I wrote the book, I thought to myself, if I'm going to write a book, I want somebody to read it as if I'm speaking to them, but I want them to read it quick. How many of you love reading? Raise your hand. Okay. What scares me about reading, and this is just me, and this is opportunity for me to be better as a person, is that when a book is this big and the print is this small, I just close it. It's me. It's my thing. I don't have the attention span. I want to run my mouth. I want to get up and speak. I want to change people's lives. I want to write a book where people can get through it in 2 hours, and it becomes a work where they find some dignity and intention in what I was trying to do, because I know who I am. I'm honest with who I am, because there's a lot of you in this room right now that are telling me you want to create opportunity, but you talk a big game. Don't exaggerate your efforts. Because when you do that as a broker, your realtor is going to want to work with somebody else. Don't exaggerate your opportunity that you're offering them either. How many people know that being in sales isn't the best title to others? Raise your hand if you know that. What do you think the worst sales title is to have? If you're used car salesman, if you're insurance agent, realtors, what would you think the worst car title was? Yes, ma'am. They're bad. Holy shit, they're bad. I blocked 9,000 of them in 2020. What else? Who else has an idea what the worst title to have as a salesperson? Telesales, good one too. I'm sorry? Oh my God, no one's ever said that, but we're in Florida, so I know why. She's right. It's right now the number one worst title to have in sales is used car salesperson. And I always respond, that's because they haven't met a timeshare salesperson yet. See, I do consulting. I'm flying to Mexico to do a consulting deal for a timeshare company. And I tell them before I come, this is intentional. This is opportunity now, right? I don't believe in timeshare. I don't. But I walk around with a ring that we broke every single record in timeshare company for 4 straight years. Worldwide. Me and a team of 11. Wasn't me, it was me and my team. Never take the credit, by the way. Always give it as leaders. Very big rule. But I did that because I go into a timeshare organization and I tell them, hey, I want to be very clear, Mr. CEO, that you may or may not want me. Because I'm going to teach you to do it the right way. And if you're lying or stealing or cheating, or you're okay with a little bit of heat, everybody know what heat is? Lying, right, in sales? I'm not okay with that. See, the name Make Sales Great Again is not political, although a very catchy name. You have to admit, that's a pretty good name, right? But the Make Sales Great Again is the truth. It's a true statement, because there's so many sales gurus out there that I want to teach you the next pitch, and I want to teach you the next opportunity, and I want to teach you this and that, and that. God, I hate it, because it's honesty is what sells. Integrity. How many people know that if you talk about the negatives, you get more deals? See, I would say this, man. I don't want to say bad. I will say less trained, less intentional salespeople talk about the features and benefits and just spewing features and benefits. And by the time the deal is done and inked, the people that bought from you go, what is the bad shit? What did he not tell me? It's too good to be true. How many times have everybody in this room has been in a sales atmosphere where somebody's trying to sell you some shit and you're like, that shit way too good to be true. Don't even lie. You've said it. But what if, as salespeople, we told them the negatives? What if we just said, hey, listen, Mr. CEO, I'm going to come in and train, but I'm going to teach you to talk about the negatives. How many people believe that bringing up something that's negative or an objection is good in a sales presentation? Raise your hand. Here's the deal. If you as brokers are not creating opportunity to teach your reps to bring up the negatives instead of the positives and be able to handle those objections, there's something wrong with your brokerage. Either you're not trained properly or the people that are training the reps aren't trained properly, because I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'll give you a church consulting opportunity if you guys ever want to open up a real estate consulting group, okay? Very easy to build a consulting company, I found out. You want to know how? You go to any company, any organization, at any time, and you ask them, what are the top 5 objections that you constantly receive in your sales organization? Just the top 5. I know you have 100. What are the top 5? Like, you as brokers, do you know what salespeople are going to complain about with you in your brokerage firms? Yes or no? Do you know? Of course you do. You know the shit they're going to say. How about when you're trying to sell a home? You know the negative stuff that's going to come up. Yes or no? Yes. Guys, I'll ask it again because I want you guys to say, Be with me. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, here's the deal, right? If you don't believe that you have to train these people to create more opportunity for you because of how you get paid for a realtor selling something, then you are missing the boat. It's the hottest time in real estate ever right now in Florida. If you don't believe that, you got to change your mindset. 2020, I'm not a realtor. I made a shit ton of money in real estate. 2020, the ones that people were complaining about most, the worst time ever, I took and I made opportunity. Because what I decided was that I wasn't going to let a pandemic, real or not, sickness, real or not, whatever your political beliefs are, real or not, I wasn't going to let that determine my future. My circumstances didn't define who I was. It was me and the mindset that changed me. See, here's the deal, guys. You know how many times I've been literally listening to people in an organization where, well, I'll do this. I was at a speaking event. There was like 500 people there. And I'm showing pictures. And I was in my Bentley. And I was in, showing myself getting on a private jet and all sorts of shit. And I was like, God, I was like, this looks, I did it once, never again. I look like a tacky asshole. And you could see people in the room going, oh God, here we go again, another motivational guy, right? Gonna teach us how to sell shit. What I realized is that I wasn't practicing what I was preaching, right? Because I'd look around the room and there was people with their eyes that rolled, and there was people that weren't paying attention. There were people looking around. And I remember that they were going, oh, and I heard that. You go, oh. But then I thought to myself, I'm like, man, excuse me, my friends, but fuck that. Because here's the reality. I didn't have a pot to piss in. I bought that Bentley myself. I earned it. I live in a, very nice home now. I earned it. My wife is a homemaker. She works way harder than I do. She earned it with me. We earned it together. But as I'm looking around the room, people didn't realize that at one point in that person's family tree, and I've just posted this the other day, someone was broke. See, growing up the way I grew up, I learned the art of sales and negotiation in a pool. I ran illegal poker games for 10 years in Orlando. I would rent the Sky Rises downtown Orlando, and I would crush. And I realized at one point that it wasn't the life that I wanted to give for my daughters, and I didn't have credit, and I didn't file taxes for 10 years, didn't do any of that shit. And then I realized very quickly that there were two things that can happen. I can continue to live this life, or I can change the life for the people that I love most, but I have to change it for me. So when I created the opportunity, I decided that I was gonna be one that broke the family tree. I was gonna change the cycle. I was gonna be the one. I was dedicated to guaranteeing that my kids were not gonna ever go through what I went through growing up financially and seeing my mom and dad cry every day. I would listen to my dad negotiate with the electricity company constantly. Hey, can I just throw you $40 today and I'll get back with you tomorrow? That's how I grew up. Dad, the best salesperson in the world. But when he died, it lit a fire to me. So I'm gonna ask you guys a question. How many people have been down and out before and it took something catastrophic for you to get off your ass? Raise your hand. Don't tell me that it didn't happen, because it did. Some of you may have that wealthy life, and God bless you. It doesn't make you a bad person if you grew up rich, by the way. God bless your parents and the people that broke the cycle. But I will tell you this, for me, it took 2 squeezes. And it lit a fire under me like I've never been before. Anybody ever heard of Les Brown? Raise your hand if you ever heard of Les Brown. Okay, how about this? I wasn't speaking for 3 months, and Les and I had an event 3 months later. I was anchor speaker for Les Brown 3 months after my dad passed. There was people like this, 100 in the room. We got together. Les got everybody around as my dad died, and he prayed for my father. I didn't know it was going to happen. But that was opportunity. It changed my life, because some of you right now say that you want it, but you're not living it. Your mouth is speaking it, but your actions aren't proving it. So you can take what I'm saying as motivational bullshit, because I was a drunk guy downtown fighting everybody 20 years ago. First motivational post I ever posted, I remember 15 messages. My friend's like, Todd, what the fuck are you doing? Who are you? That is not you. That's not you. And then about 6 months later, I got a message from a young lady that I hadn't talked to in 25 years. And she said, I read one of your posts and you saved my life. And I'm thinking, oh, just maybe, just maybe saved the marriage or helped her out, whatever, all good stuff. She said, I swear to you, I was laying in a bathtub with a razor blade. I was scrolling through Facebook. I was figuring out ways to buy. I had a pen and a piece of paper. I was done. I read one of your posts. You saved my life. I don't know how to thank you. And I remember sitting on the couch and I was in tears with my wife. And I was just like, dude, you just never know who you're going to reach. See, opportunity doesn't always have to be money. Opportunity to me is touching lives. It's changing lives. I'm not getting $1 for this. And I get paid a lot to speak, but I'm not getting $1 for this. Because if one person out of this room takes something away, then it's a win for me. If somebody walks out of your room and goes another motivation bullshit, I challenge you to check yourself. Because I sat and Les Brown saved my life. It was listening to YouTube over and over and over again instead of music every single day, something motivational. See, guys, don't tell me you don't have the time again. Just tell me it's not important enough to care, because your vehicle's what you're in all the time. It's a mobile university. You can learn anything you want to listen and learn on the internet nowadays for free, but you choose not to, for whatever reason. So opportunity, before I leave you guys, is about choice. Gratitude. I write 10 gratitudes every morning. I have a mentor. Her name is Danelle Delgado. You can look her up. She's a powerhouse. It's not Danielle, Danelle. If you're not writing her down, women, you should, because she is probably the most strong and perseverable person I've ever met in my life. She's unbelievable. She taught me to write down 10 gratitudes every morning. She says, you write down 10 things you're grateful for, and it's not money. It's not the Bentley. It's not the car. It's not the $1 million house. She goes, I don't care what it is. She just wants you to dig deep. Shirt on your back. Dude, I don't know if I've had this shirt, I swear to God, you for 20 years. Well, I just never get rid of it. My wife hates it. For food. For seeing your children smile, to be able to take 2 hours out of your day to spend time with the people you love because you chose to be a broker. So I'll ask you guys this. How bad do you want it? Some of you are here because you want something for yourselves that you currently don't have, whether it's education, whether it was listening to somebody speak, whether it was allowing yourselves the chance to realize maybe, just maybe, I'm lying to myself. And I'm not doing everything that I know I can, because, dude, time is not promised, man. Past 3 months, I've lost 3 friends that are under the age of 35 years old. It's not promised, but we believe that it is. Why is that? Why do we think that tomorrow is promised? What was your name, sir?
Michael.
Michael. By the way, I'm going to give out some of these books here. You can have one here. If you guys want me to sign it afterwards, feel free to come to me. If not, you can use it as fire paper. I don't care. So, but here's the deal. I asked him what he was most grateful for, and he said, waking up every morning. I know I don't look at it, and yes, I cuss, but I love Jesus. I pray, and I thank God that he gave me a chance to open my eyes. So I'm going to tell you guys this. You want an opportunity? Create it. There's nothing stopping you. There's no super fabulous trick to being the better version of you, other than you have to believe that you can, and most importantly, you have to be grateful that you have the chance to. Do you guys know it's 400 trillion to 1 that you were born? This is true. You were the one. Statistically, I mean, dude, I could talk about quant, I could talk about analysis, I could talk about so much stuff you guys look like. He does not look like he knows that shit. I'm a math guy. It's 400 trillion to 1 that you were born. That's the odds. Taken into your parents' meeting, you know what I mean? There was the night in Woodstock, whatever, right? 400 trillion to 1. That's the odds of you being born. But you're wasting your opportunity? Guys, it's bullshit. Opportunity is what you make of it. You need to have the courage to fight back. You need to have the courage. You need to be seen. You need to get out there. If you're not on social media, get out there. Challenge yourself. I talked to a guy the other day. I don't want to be on social media. I got 3 ex-girlfriends that are crazy. Okay, call them up and apologize if you did something wrong. I don't know. But you're letting 3 ex-girlfriends that are crazy change the course of your future forever? You need to be seen. But listen, when you have someone, the next speaker that's going to speak, when you have someone that is going to give you knowledge, if you take one thing away from it, it's a win. Again, I may not be for everybody, and that's okay. But I have helped major corporations change the course of their future forever because I believe that I can, and I literally, I don't sleep. I don't sleep. And I'll say this. How many people believe that you should say yes to every opportunity? Raise your hand. Why? Yes, why? Why do you say yes to every opportunity? For anything.
Oh, I'm not only proud, I'm so happy to be in that Orlando and Tampa area. It's booming. This is the
Love that. Why do you say yes to every opportunity, whether it has anything to do with real estate or not?
Because God has given me the talent.
God, stop right there. God has given me the time and opportunity. See, I say yes to everything. Everything. I've said yes to opportunities. I was telling Linda, I have an opportunity in Mont Tremblant right now that I'm flying to Canada. It's a huge resort community. 400,000 starting price up to 7 million. I don't know shit about real estate development. I said, yeah, I can help. In the past 3 months, I've probably learned more about real estate development than some of you have in 20 years. Because I say yes and then I go after it. It's that drive because I need to know about it. Otherwise, I'm not the guy for them. Be the person you want to be, right? Be the job that you want to have before you have it. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, guys, here's the deal. Everybody stand up before I get out of here. Let's go. Everybody stand up. All right? Come on, stand up before we go. Let's go. Because we got next speaker up here. I'm probably passing my time, but I do that, and I'm sorry if you never have me back again. I love you. Okay. So, all right. Everybody wiggle your arms out a little bit like this. Everybody do that. Jump up and down like this. Come on. Jump up. Get a little energy, okay? Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to face the other person, someone near you, okay? Face that person. Just face them. I don't care if you know them or not. Put your right hand out, each of you. No, don't shake hands. Up close to their head. Take it as far back as this, right here, right here. Take it back. Take your right arm back like this and smack the shit out of them. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I'm gonna go ahead and take a seat because I'm gonna leave with this, guys, okay? The reason why we do this is because if you get up, anybody know that when you fake smile, it releases endorphins in your body that makes you happy? It's fact. Energy is why you will succeed. Courage is why you will succeed. How many people have haters? Raise your hand. I got a shit ton of them, and I love them. Because I'm going to do everything they say that I couldn't do. Whatever they say I can't get done, I'm going to do. And the only way that they win is if you guys allow them to win and you continuously fail. You continuously talk about doing shit opportunity, but you don't do it. Create haters. Get a bunch of them. What do you do with the haters? Prove them wrong. What else? I'm sorry? Possible. What else? What else do you do with haters? Use motivation. Yes, sir, ma'am. You're going to say the same thing? See, I love helping the haters. Here's why. A lot of people say, fuck them, get rid of them all. You know what I say? Help them. Some of my biggest haters on the planet have been some of my biggest supporters that have changed my life forever. Because all of us decide to say, get rid of them. We don't need those haters. No, I'm going to tell them that because of them, I'm rich. In love and in life and in finance and in mind. Money. I'm going to thank them for the opportunity to tell me that I couldn't do something because I'm going to do everything that people say that I can't get done. But if you're not waking up every day with that mentality, if you're not changing the course of who you are, and I don't care if you're 18 or you're more tenured in life. No, sorry, more tenured. But the truth is, you guys have opportunity. It's a gift to wake up every single day. Take hold of it. My wife is a blessing. But she's also the best saleswoman on the planet. I've got 4 girls in my house, wife and 3 daughters. Yes, I am the worst closer in my home. And I believe I'm the best at sales, but they close me easily. Everybody believe that you were born into sales? Raise your hand if you do. Well, when you were crying, you wanted food, you were selling them to bring you some food, right? How many of you wanted to borrow some mom and dad's car before? Raise your hand. I'll clean the room. I'll wash the dishes. I'll do the laundry I haven't done in 8 months if you just let me borrow the car. It's negotiation. We've all been in sales. My wife tells me she's not in sales. And the other day she calls me and says, hey, babe, I want to go on a vacation. I said, okay, let's go. Just figure it out. Go on a vacation. It's good. Let's figure out where to go. 2 days later, she calls me back. She goes, hey, I was out of town. She says, hey, I found the perfect vacation. She goes, here's what we're going to do. Get on a plane. Got to fly JFK. But because it's a long flight overseas to where I want to go in the Mediterranean, she goes, we're going to stay in New York. We're going to stay at the Four Seasons in New York. It's only $1,000 a night. I got it. It's fine. I know it's expensive, but I want to spoil ourselves. Okay. No problem. Sounds good. What else? Well, then we're going to fly to Barcelona. From Barcelona, we're going to get on a Mediterranean cruise. We're going to take the Mediterranean cruise. It's going to be 11 days. It's only about $9,000 each. No big deal. We're going to have a good time. When we get off the cruise, okay, we're going to fly directly from there. And we're going to go to where we let your dad's ashes go in Caltanissetta, Sicily. We're going to spend some time there just so we can see your dad, just for a couple days, say that we love him, et cetera, blah, blah, like that. From there, we're going to drive to Capri. Capri, we're going to stay there for 3 days. I know Capri's an island. I know it's expensive, honey, but come on, it's just one trip. And, you know, we only live once. You always say tomorrow's never promised, right? Oh, God, she's close, right? And then we go from Capri, we're going to go there, and we want to see the Northern Lights in Iceland. And then we go from Iceland, we're going to go back to New York, and then we're going to go back home. But we need to stay in New York at the Four Seasons for 3 more days before we fly home because, gosh, it's a lot of flying. And just, you know, I just want to rest and we'll take the spa day. So men, what am I thinking? I'm like, what am I thinking right now?
Money.
How much? I'm like, how much is this costing me? What am I gonna, I don't even know, right? It's like, babe, how much is this? And she goes, babe, listen, I understand everything combined. It's only $35,000. She goes, but if you don't want to do all that just this time, I did find this beautiful place in St. John's. We can stay at the city. We just want $3,500 first. And I go, do that one. And then I thought to myself, son of a bitch. She just closed me. We were never going to the Four Seasons, to the Mediterranean, to my Caltanissetta, to Capri, to Iceland. We were never doing that. In life, don't ask for what you want, ask for more than what you want, so you'll get what you want. So I sat back and I was like, God, it got closed. It's insane. And then it's crazy. Like when you see a red car, and then all of a sudden you see more red cars. Right? It's crazy how you do that, right? And I remember I was driving home, and I'm like, as I'm thinking, she closed. I'm like, son of a bitch, I just got closed. It's $7,000. I could have probably got one for $2,500. Now I'm pissed, right? But now I said yes, so I have to do it. So I'm in my Bentley, just got it, pulling up to a gas station, get out, and of course I'm in a hurry. And I use a credit card machine, and what does it say? Out of order, right? I'm like, son of a bitch. So I got to go and pay for the gas. And as you go and pay for the gas, because I'm in a hurry, when you're in a hurry, what happens? Every red light, right? You're all stopped. It's all everything. I believe in energy. It happens, right? So all of a sudden, there's 9 people in the line. I'm like, Jesus, like I can't win. What I used to say, I don't talk that way anymore. I always say I can win. I don't self-deprecate. Everything's good in life, right? So I remember getting in line. As I'm getting in line, there's this little kid sitting on like this white like paint bucket, like this, just chilling, right? And the kid comes up to me and he's just like, hey, mister, hey, mister. I know he's talking to me. And he tugs me and says, hey, mister, hey, mister. And I'm just like, and I'm in a hurry, so I'm annoyed. I'm like, what, kid? He's like, let me ask you a question. He goes, how fast does that car go? Looking at my Bentley out front, right? I go, I don't know, kid. It goes fast, okay? I mean, it's new. I just got it, right? It goes fast, right? Then I go, hey, mister, is that white pearl paint on that car? Is that a Bentley? Yes, kid, it's a Bentley. I don't know the name of the paint. Please, I'm like, get out of here, right? So I was like, hey, mister, and kept asking questions. What type of tailgate is it? How big are the rims? Is it side rims? Blah, blah, blah. It's like the freaking Inquisition, right? It's like asking me a million different things. And so finally, I looked back and I was just like, he says, mister, hey, one day, how can I have a car like that? So I think I got him on sales. And I go, hey, kid, let me tell you something. If you work hard, I mean really, really hard, get off that bucket and go out and really work, then you can one day have a car just like that. I was like, God, he has shit to that. This close this kid, he's done, he's not gonna ask me any questions. Move up in the line, ready to pay for my gas. And he goes, oh, hey, mister, I'm glad you said that. Because that's exactly what I'm here for today. And as he gets up and he moves the white bucket aside to reveal boxes of chocolates. Like this little shit. So he goes, hey, mister, look, because you just told me that I could have anything I want in life if I just really work hard, and that's actually why I'm here, right? As you can see, right? That's why I'm here. Would you buy a box of chocolates? I'm like, and I'm pissed, and he's, I know y'all are thinking right now, support the youth and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, right? I'm buying anything, right? Start walking, and he goes, mister, please, I understand you may not want to buy a box of chocolates, but will you at least just buy just one? Now I feel bad talking to the kid, and I'm just like, yes, I'll buy, you know what, as a matter of fact, I got 3 daughters, I'll buy one for each daughter, it's 3 chocolate bars, give me $3, or 3 bars, cost me $3. So I pay him $3, walk out, get in my car, driving home, mad about the vacation, mad about the chocolates, and I thought about the chocolates, and I'm like, son of a bitch, I just got closed again. by literally a 10-year-old kid. And some of you are thinking, how? He set me up by asking questions, breaking the ice, right? He's asking questions. It makes me feel bad, going, oh, would you please help me support the youth, all that bullshit, right? And then he asked me to buy a box of chocolates, knowing I wasn't going to buy a box of chocolates. But in sales, if you don't offer the higher product, you're never going to get it, yes or no? So I could have said yes, but I didn't. But he probably knew statistically I wasn't going to buy it. But I bought 3 bars. He only wanted me to buy 1. But because, this is fact, because he offered me the box of chocolates that he knew statistically that I wasn't going to buy, he knew that I'd probably buy 1 because there was 20 bars in the box. He thought that he'd feel bad for him. He'll get 1 sale out of it, right? But I bought 3. In life, don't ask for what you want, ask for more than what you want, so you get what you want. Guys, you need to live by that on your own. Ask yourselves what you want. Ask yourselves, and don't let it be some catastrophic event. Because how many times have you busted ass in life, and things are going great, and one negative thing happens, and it wipes out all the good shit in your life? Raise your hand if that's happened to you. Mindset is opportunity. You guys want to win? Change your mindset. You guys want to have opportunities? Create them. How many have you heard that good things to come to those who come away, right? Right? How many of you heard that? Good things come to those who wait.
Nonsense.
Good
Nonsense.
things come to those who create.
To create.
Don't wait for
Sit down
shit.
to wait.
Go out and get it. Who else wants a book? Raise your hand. Sir? I'm going to get some back here. Here, I'm going to give one over here because I want to hand them some out here. Give one.
Slow-mo.
Answer some questions. Here, guys, I'll give you one. Sorry if you don't have them back here. It's always the back row sitting in front. I apologize. There you go. And I'm going to leave you guys with this last statement. You guys have to have, and if you want me to sign it, come to me when this is done, okay? I'll come sign it for you guys. I don't put my phone number or anything else up there. If you want it, I'll give it to you, okay? Please don't blow my phone up. I normally don't give out my personal number. I give it to Chelsea, who's my assistant, but I'll give it to you guys because of Linda and who she is. I'll help you guys, but I will tell you this. Don't ever sacrifice your future for someone else's opinion of who they think you are. Don't do that, because a lot of people are going to talk shit. It doesn't matter what you look like, where you're from, how old you are. You have opportunity. The only thing that's stopping you from creating opportunity is you and your mindset. Would you guys agree?
I agree.
So I thank you guys. I'm honored to be here. You do have my website information up here. And that's a good picture. Oh, they use that one. It was a little more jacked. I don't know what it was. But I'm here to assist you guys in any way. Please, before you leave here, give everybody that helped this event, let's first of all give them a huge round of applause, please, for this. That was weak as shit. I'm not leaving until we give them a round of applause. Everybody here that helped this event, go on the count of 3, give them a huge standing ovation, round of applause. Everybody get up. Get up, 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 get up. Not yet, not yet. You guys are good. How about this? On the count of 3, we're going to say hell yeah really loud, okay? On the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hell yeah. That was okay. That was okay. One of the best realtor events, broker events on the planet. They're doing this for you guys. You're going to get some great information from next speakers. How many of you are ready to get some more information? On the count of 3, say hell yeah. I want loud. I'll stay here until it's loud as shit. 1, 2, 3. Hell yeah! That was good. Give yourselves a round of applause, guys. I'm Todd Speciale. Thank you guys for having me. If you want me to sign the book, let me know. Thank you very much.
Great job, Todd.
Have her in person with us today as our speaker. I know that there are some contracts that are coming up that have some revisions to them. She's here to give you all an update and to tell you what's important to you as a broker. So please join me in welcoming Juana Watkins.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I have to thank the best hype man in the business for waking y'all up for me this morning. It is such a pleasure and an honor to stand here this morning. I've been standing much later, so some of you may have seen me recently. I've been on a cane, so I am happy to stand in front of you today. I have not been with you guys since your groundbreaking. That's how long it's been. And so I'm really excited when Twiz, she is so thoughtful. And so she's always so considerate about my schedule and my calendar. And she's like, I know you're probably super busy, but you know, if you or one of the attorneys can come on the 14th, I was like, oh no, It has been way too long since I was with my friends at Osceola, so I am going to be there. So here I am, and I want to talk to you about some of the things that we have observed on, as she said, the hotline. If you've heard me talk about the hotline before, I say that it is the most phenomenal service because we are hopefully able to impart information to you during the 76,000 phone calls a year that we receive from members. But we also get really great intelligence from all of you about what's happening in real time on the hotline. You are like generals in the field telling us, what happened yesterday at an open house or what happened this morning at a listing appointment. So we hear what's happening as it's happening, and that allows us to develop really important real-time products, services, and tools in the forms of frequently asked questions and documents and contract drafting and all of those things that we do for you because of the information that you give to us. So as much as I'm glad to be able to provide usually it's about 12 attorneys each day on the phones taking calls, we are thankful for every single call you give to us, all right? So what are we hearing? All right, I'm gonna finish today talking about a topic that is very important, which is antitrust. But I'm gonna start telling you about some of the calls that we're hearing on the hotline. As brokers, it is a really great time to be in real estate. Business is great. The number of agents coming into business is great. The real estate commission, though, you hear these economic forecasts saying that, there are signs of cooling in terms of the number of agents coming into the business. The real estate commission meets every month. We have an attorney from the Florida Realtors cover that meeting for you so that we know the type of discipline that they're giving out, and we monitor the licensing trends. Every month, Florida is adding anywhere in the neighborhood of 2,300 to 2,400 sales associates. Every month. And so that is great from a recruitment perspective. From a liability perspective, I want you to hear me say danger, Will Robinson, danger. Because many of you get tired of me talking about copyright infringement, text messaging lawsuits, screening tenants for criminal history. You're like, is this girl ever got fair housing? Is she ever going to change up her program? Well, I can, but if I do, guess what? The 2,300 agents that were added to our rolls last month didn't get that training 2 months ago, okay? If you are a broker with a training program, I need you to regularly have those topics. Don't think that you trained on those issues 6 months ago, so now you're done until your next annual training next summer. Because you will add new agents to your office that did not get that training, okay? So I need you, and I know that because the agents call and they say to me, nobody has ever talked to me about copyright infringement. I've never heard that. I didn't read your articles. I didn't see your Take 5 video. So liability to me is most profound for brokerages because new agents come in that did not get the training, or they switch from a brokerage that did not train. Okay, so routine training program is takeaway number one for you on the issues I just mentioned. Copyright, that is an oldie but a goodie from a lawsuit perspective. We are still seeing it. Aerial affordable photography. Some of you may know that name because that's a common plaintiff. Mr. Chambers, who has probably called your offices. This is the gentleman who has a criminal history who called property management offices and leasing offices and asked if he will be disqualified because he has a felony. He is still calling. He is still making tons of money off real estate offices, despite the fact that I have probably done 50 legal updates just about him and his attorney, okay? Still making money off brokerages. And the other one that we're still seeing is text messaging. So there are 3 programs that I need you to continue to provide training on. We have the resources on our Florida Realtors website. I want you to train on those issues. Okay. The other big thing that's happening that Twiz just mentioned is the rollout of the new FAR/BAR contract. Okay. How many of you attended the first virtual training that we did on this about 2 weeks ago? There were over 1,200 people on this training. Okay. So the Attorney Joint Committee of Florida Realtors and the Florida Bar, obviously they are the group responsible for the drafting and the maintaining, amending of the FAR/BAR contract. This group over the last 3 years has worked very hard at updating this contract. There are 3 years worth of amendments here. Many of these changes came about from calls into the Florida Realtors hotline. Okay, many of these changes. So this is a really great product. I think you will find it to be really helpful in terms of the updates. I cannot go over 3 years worth of changes in the 30 minutes I have. What we did is we have created a series of resources for you. All right. If you go to our Florida Realtors webpage, there is a page devoted solely to this contract change. You will find 2 versions of the contract. A red line version that will give you a headache as soon as you open it. It's a hot mess, but it is literally 3 years worth of red line changes with every single change as a red line version. It is hard to read. I encourage you to read what we call the black line version. It is a more user-friendly version that will help you understand the changes to the contract. I want you to take that black line version and I want you to disseminate it to all of your agents. Every training tool that we develop uses the black line version line numbers to train you. Okay? So this is why you are going to work from the black line version. Then 2 weeks ago, we recorded a webinar that is an hour and a half long where Marcia Tabak, who is the staff liaison, she works with the Florida Bar and with the Realtors to bring about the changes to this contract. She spent an hour and a half going over every single one of those changes. It is a recorded webinar. I want you to take that black line contract and that webinar and share that with your agents. Make sure they are following the black line because it won't make sense to them when she says line 38 and they look at the red line. Follow the black line. There's also a summary document as well as the full PowerPoint on the webpage. These are made available to you for purposes of training for this new contract. Okay? I'm sorry. It's on the Florida Realtors webpage. If you just look at it on the banner, the scrolling banner at the top, the first one that comes up is FAR/BAR contract changes. Okay, you click on that, it'll take you to the page. The other thing I want you, yes ma'am. Everything's on there. The other thing I want you to know is this coming Monday, the 18th, I believe it starts at 10 o'clock. There is a session devoted solely to the financing clause. The financing clause was the #1 source of phone calls into the hotline by itself before we changed it. But the one change I'm going to talk to you about today is the fact that the financing contingency has a major change. The appraisal is now a part of the financing contingency. Before in the contract, you had to apply for and obtain loan approval or commitment or whatever term we're going to use, but basically you are qualified for a loan at this price and terms and for this long, and subject to these conditions, okay? And one of those conditions was always appraisal. And then they'd order the appraisal, and the appraisal would come in, and it might sink the deal, and everybody was mad because the buyer could then cancel because the appraisal came in too low. Here's the new contract. You now apply for financing. And during the loan approval period, that appraisal must be ordered, conducted, as the appraisers say, developed and communicated during the financing contingency, the loan approval period. Okay? If it is not done during the loan approval period, the buyer cannot sit on their hands. They must act to either ask for that extension, cancel the contract, or their deposit is going to be on the hook. All right? This is a major shift in the contract, which is why we are going to devote an entire training session on Monday specifically to the changes, because that's not the only change, but that's a big one, specifically to the changes to the financing section. Because every time we do a session, the hands would fly up just during the financing session. And if we answered every question on financing, we'd be there all day. So we told folks, don't worry, we're going to do one just on financing, and that's going to be Monday. The link to register for that is also on that page on the Florida Realtors website. Okay? So once you get registered, get your agents registered, listen to Marcia explain every single line, every single change, not just the change itself, but how it interacts with all of the previous language under the financing section. Okay? The last thing I'm going to tell you about with the contract, on that same page, we're doing something called the talking contract, where you can go into that black line version of the contract and you can click on the change, and it will give you an audio version explanation of that particular change as an education tool for your agent. So I need you to please make use of all of these resources, and it will help you understand the rollout. Final resource that is forthcoming, though not yet available, is something called the Frequently Asked Questions webinar. This will be a recorded webinar that Marcia and I will record and we will give to you. It will deal with some of the nuances of implementation. What happens if I get a contract on October 28th, we accept it, and then on November 2nd, after the new riders and all of that come out, we need to amend the contract. Do we use the old rider? Do we use the new rider? What do we do? Specifics like that we will address in the Frequently Asked Question webinar, okay? So thank you for all the questions you've submitted thus far. We encourage you to send us any questions that you have as you're talking to your agents. Call us on the hotline because we're collecting all of those for the very last resource that we will do, which is the Frequently Asked Question webinar. Any questions about the contract before I move on to antitrust? Yes, sir.
The appraisal don't count with the cash deal, correct?
It does not count with the cash deal unless you add the appraisal rider to the contract itself.
Yeah, because sometimes the buyers say, I don't want appraisal, I just want inspection. That's it.
Right, right. So you can still add that appraisal rider to a cash deal saying, you know, if it does not appraise for this amount, the buyer reserves the right to basically cancel the contract. Right, absolutely. Any other questions? All right, the last thing I'm going to talk about, Twiz, I think I have 12 more minutes, right? Antitrust. Why am I talking about antitrust? Are there any cases that I'm aware of where real estate licensees have been charged with antitrust? No. I'm not aware of any enforcement action on an individual basis against real estate licensees recently. But antitrust is a really, really important topic right now in this industry. And I need us to pay attention. I sat in on a CLE last week on data privacy. in my general hat as Florida Realtors General Counsel, because we have membership data, we have privacy, we have form simplicity where we collect documents. And so one of the things I have to do is preserve the data integrity for Florida Realtors, just in general. And I expected to hear about like GDPR, and California has a really aggressive data privacy law and some of these things. And that's what I thought I was calling in to talk about. And I was really shocked that the vast majority of the discussion during the seminar was about antitrust. And I thought, what does antitrust have to do with data privacy? And I listened to the regulators on this call. I'm a former regulator, so I hear things through a regulator's ears. I see things through a regulator's eyes. And it became abundantly clear to me that as General Counsel of Florida Realtors, I'm gonna start paying a lot of attention to antitrust. So I went to the Google, right? And it's just a good starting place. I'm not saying I do my research on the Google, but sometimes it helps to know what other people are talking about. And I saw headlines that said stuff like, "A new day, a new deal, the Biden administration's antitrust revolution. Biden's antitrust team signals a big swing at corporate titans. Biden executive order and policy shift herald era of expanded antitrust enforcement, and Biden's target antitrust enforcement to increase competition in new executive orders." And so before you think I'm making some political statement, because I'm not, some things started to make sense to me, because I want to reach another list. U.S. versus National Association of Realtors. Rex Real Estate Exchange, Inc. versus Zillow, Inc. et al. The PLS.com LLC versus NAR, Leaders versus the National Association of Realtors. Top Agent Network, Inc. versus National Association of Realtors. Joshua Sitzer versus National Association of Realtors. Merle versus National Association of Realtors. These are all antitrust lawsuits involving NAR over the last several years. So I figured I better go and look and see what type of trainings or programs I talked about in antitrust as a part of. And I found that there were very little. I talked to AEs about antitrust. But so I'm going to spend the next few months talking to members about antitrust, because it's important. Not because, I don't know, maybe the Justice Department's not going to come and sue each of you individually. I can't tell you they won't. But it is important to this industry. So it needs to be important to all of us, which means we need to know what it is. And I know we don't know what it is because I saw a Facebook post last week and subsequently talked to a member that where it started off literally public service announcement rant. And it started out talking about a particular online service provider and their business. And I politely called him up and said, take it down. And he really wanted to understand from me what was wrong with it. So I explained it to him. So now I'm going to explain it to the rest of my members, just in case we don't know. The reason I say it's not a political statement is because we all know, although the headline said Biden administration, we all know that in October, NAR and the Department of Justice announced both a complaint and a settlement at the same time, right? Biden wasn't president then. So when this really fell on our radar as an industry, somebody else was president, right? So this is not a political statement at all. This is a reality, okay, that we are dealing with as an industry. So let me tell you the elements of antitrust really quickly. Antitrust is, in its simplest form, a contract, combination, or conspiracy. Contract, combination, or conspiracy. Conspiracy is such a harsh word. People say, I'm not conspiring. Okay, but are you combining? Because it can be a combination that restrains trade. These antitrust laws, they are designed and intended to protect and promote competition, right? Business models are fantastic. Diverse business models, fantastic. We want to promote them. We want to encourage them. And the laws are designed to do just that. Now, as an industry, we must give room, we must give life, we must give breath to diverse opinions and practices within our industry. And we must embrace and encourage diverse business models. So how do we do that? Well, one of the things I've often wanted members to understand is it is about so much more than price fixing, right? We get that. Most members say, well, I don't fix prices. I don't get together with my competitor and talk about how many apples I charge. So I'm not guilty of antitrust, but it's about so much more than that, right? It's about sometimes saying who gets how many apples. You know, the fact that I believe that every single time this person should get this many apples and that person should get this many apples, that can lead to antitrust as well. The splitting of apples or oranges can lead to antitrust as well. Not just the full amount of fruit in the basket, how we divvy it up. If it is consistently divvied up in the same way every single time, because we have combined to that mindset, that practice, that can be antitrust. Sometimes antitrust takes the form of terms of a listing. It is unprofessional for anybody to list for anything less than 6 months. It is unacceptable. It's unprofessional. And anybody who does that just doesn't belong in this industry. That term, the duration of a listing, what's performed under a listing, you know, the full service term that I've heard used, that too can be antitrust, okay? So I need us to break the mindset that certain duties performed under a listing contract or a duration of time is required in order to be a professional is the way to go and the only way to go, because that can lead to antitrust, all right? And finally, you know, I've had folks say, I'm tired of X appraiser because they had never hit my price and they're always sinking the deal. And, you know, I was talking to ABC at my board and now we're talking combination. And it may not be your intention to cause A, B, and C to not use that appraiser, but that may be the effect of what you do, okay? So that is a really simple version of antitrust, but I want to leave you with the warning that this is not an issue to take lightly, because whether it results in individual brokerages being pursued by the Department of Justice or not, when we give meat to the hungry, we are not helping our industry. And it is incumbent upon me as your general counsel, I love being such, to tell you that this is a matter of great importance. And I need us all to be mindful of the post, the comments, the statements, and how we conduct ourselves. It is not just important to your brokerage, it is important to sustaining our industry long term, okay? So there is one resource I want to make you aware of, because I like to give you something to read. NAR right now on the Realtor store. If you have not spent time on the Realtor store, go there. I will get Twiz the link. There is a great antitrust for members manual that NAR makes available. They normally charge for this. As of a few days ago, at least, it was available for download for free. I want you to download this manual. It is a perfect primer for how to avoid antitrust violations. And I want you to share that with your agents. And I want you to consume this information so that we do not give the Department of Justice or anyone else lawsuits for any exhibits to use, exhibits for lawsuits to use against our industry, okay? Whether individually or as a whole. I want you to download and use this information. All right, now that said, I think I'm out of time, but I'm gonna ask, are there any pressing questions? Yes, sir.
Sorry, this falls into the category of, you just happen to be on Facebook. You just happen to see that post. What's being done at the state level and the national level, utilize tools available to analyze what I'll call data exhaust, all of this data exhaust coming from Facebook and Twitter, to get a better picture of just how much of this activity is taking place?
You know, I don't know the answer to that question specifically. I would have to find out whether or not there are any coordinated efforts nationally, perhaps. But I do own this room and my responsibility to notify my folks that antitrust is a serious issue. But I will ask if there are any efforts nationally. Yeah. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Also, there's a lot of competition, although we may not like it. You cannot say, oh, don't work with that company because they're only charging 1%. Don't bring bias to their entity. That's illegal as well, correct?
Absolutely. Embrace all business models. Embrace all pricing levels, all commission levels. It is all good, and it is all a part of our business. We love all business models. That is always the answer. All right? Yes. There you go. There you go. My mom always said, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say nothing at all. And that golden rule will keep you out of trouble every single time. I'm out of time, folks. I'll be here for the rest of the day if you have any questions.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
For years, we've heard that we needed to raise the bar of professionalism for our realtor members across the United States. This came about around 2014 as a real initiative to push forward to say, how do we give our realtor members the tools to excel in every area of their business?
We've always talked about being the best we can be in our profession.
So for me, the Commitment to Excellence program is the greatest way to raise the bar of professionalism.
There's 10 basic core competencies. Participating in the C2EX will give you that ability to get more well-rounded and focus on those areas where you're not as strong as you thought you were. I think that's the benefit of this program, is to become a well-rounded, knowledge-based realtor who holds himself to a different level.
You will do some assessments so you can find out maybe, what you need a little bit of work on, what you know pretty well.
Just click on a button, see the topic. There are a few questions to answer to kind of assess where I am right now.
And then it'll set up this roadmap that you can do on your own time.
If they've got some time they're waiting for a client at a property, they can spend that learning and growing, and then when the client shows up, they can get on with their business.
So as we go through and we're pulled through areas that maybe push us out of our comfort zone, it'll bring us back to being able to serve that client and customer so much better than we would have had we not explored that through this program.
I'm excited to see if I know as much as I think I do. So by earning the endorsements and taking the online self-analysis, I think it's really going to show me, am I really as good in the business as I think I am?
This program will allow NAR to get a unique, individualized insight into what my needs are. It will provide programs that meet my needs.
So if you're a member, there's no cost to this. This is actually a huge step. I think it will be transformational
So we're actually just adding to and undergirding a really strong place in our market, but we're going to be stronger in the future with this program.
About the importance of C2EX. And I did see when Twiz asked how many people had it, there were only a couple handful of us at most in the room, I believe, that actually did. So it's going to be a very timely conversation for us. I do want to also say the items that Juana shared with us, just to make sure that I double down on that. She was giving you very, very, very good counsel that I hope everyone really heard and took to heart. What we all work for every single day in our businesses and the pride that we have in being realtors and serving our communities and being the best of the best is something that we want to make sure that we're taking purposeful action to preserve and protect. And what you heard Juana sharing with you was now is the time for all of us in this room and our collective peers to be vigilant, to be smart, to be disciplined, and to be the professionals that we know that we are. So I know I'm preaching to the choir when I say that, but I couldn't help but just double down on that. We are truly blessed to have Juana with our team, by the way, at Florida Realtors. We talk about the best of the best. You guys know that she's a tremendous blessing to who we are and what we get to do every single day. And I'm sure many of you have utilized our legal hotline, and that's a department that Juana directly oversees, and it's one of the great resources provided to all Florida Realtors across the state. So I want to just touch on C2EX for a moment. But let me start with asking a question. First of all, how many of you guys, there's just a lot that you just don't know about C2EX yet? If you'll raise your hand, and that's okay. That's part of why we do this, okay? That's great. Let me say, first of all, thank you for being here. Thank you for participating, and thank you for being willing to learn about this. As was shared, C2EX was rolled out a number of years ago as a way to kind of build on top of all the other tools and resources that exist. But it was specifically designed to say, how do we make sure that we can recognize the agents or the brokers, the realtors in our marketplace that are being very intentional about becoming the best of the best in what it is that they need to accomplish. So let me kind of give you guys a little tip. Everybody in here is a broker or broker manager, right? In some way. So you guys are often looking for ways to train your agents to be the most ethical, the most professional, the most prepared, the most competent. Am I correct? Okay, C2EX is a training for you in a box. And we all know and understand that leadership really does begin at the top. And if you're the top of your brokerage or your sales team or whatever it may be, this is going to be a great opportunity for you guys to lead by example. Now, as the video said, C2EX has 10 components or competencies to it. However, when you go in and identify that you're a broker, it actually opens up an additional pathway for you to follow. So now you can go through some of the broker modules as well. That's only going to help each one of us collectively be even that much more prepared to help our agents succeed at the same time. What I thought I might do for you today is kind of talk through some of the pieces and parts just to maybe whet your appetite just a little bit. I will tell you that the platform that NAR has put together for us to utilize for C2EX is very easy to use. It's very intuitive. You can do it from pretty much any device you want anywhere on the planet. So it really is a very easy to use, user-friendly methodology that you can follow through that. The other thing is you may have saw on the video, Eric Sain. Eric Sain's a past president, probably many the champions and ambassadors across the United States running out to make sure that people understood what it was. And I think what was great about it is you heard the humility, which is the assessment, me understand the things that I do, where are the areas that I need to grow on. And if we're all being honest, we all continually need to go on. None of us are perfect. Each and every single one of our lives and our operations. C2EX will be one of those tools and opportunities to help you begin to learn and identify that. So with that, I want to encourage you to look at it. 89,000 people logged in, just over that number, logged in. By the way, did and the number of agents or realtors across the state that are actually earning sure that all of our agents across the state of Florida are really living this out. So what's actually covered in here? You guys want to hear a little bit about that? Yeah? So the first one covers real estate law, something near and dear to Juana's heart. Let me just kind of give you an overview. Real estate law basics, state, local, and municipal law, consumer protections, policy and engagement, zoning and land use, the laws of closing. Do any of these things sound like they may help you in your business day to day? Amen and amen, right? Okay, let's go to the next one, code of ethics. We recognize that as realtors, one of the great things is that we stand out from the crowd because we recognize that we adhere to a higher standard, a code of ethics that we say we personally want to choose, not just to follow law, to make sure that everything we do is at a higher level. C2EX will help you break down code of ethics and your competency and understanding of it even greater, covering things like learning the code itself, understanding the mediation and arbitration processes that exist, applying the code to your practice, to your business, and also sharing the code with other people. By the way, I would encourage you again, if you're looking for something to train your agents with, start with the code. Every week, every other week, whatever you guys do for your team meetings, your sales meetings, your trainings, whatever it is, begin to work through each of the articles and begin to talk them through that and help them understand what it is. I would submit to you that if all of our realtors understood the code of ethics, a lot of the challenges we deal with brokers would certainly reduce. The challenges we deal with in the marketplace would certainly reduce. And the overall appeal of who we are as professionals in the marketplace would only increase. And so you heard the gentleman earlier talking about perception of people in sales. All of us understanding and applying the code to what we do every day will only increase that perception. Moving on, fair housing. Juana just spent some time talking about that. Equality and inclusion, inclusive advertising, fair housing practices, it covers all of that. Advocacy. How many of you guys know about the important work we do in the area of advocacy at Osceola Realtors, Florida Realtors, and National Association? I actually do want to see hands on that. It's not rhetorical. Okay, so this is a really interesting thing. In this very room yesterday, this association, your association, hosted an opportunity for all of the leaders locally from the city of St. Cloud, from the city of Kissimmee, from Osceola County, from architects to land planners to city managers, you name it, all in the room for one purpose, and it's provide an opportunity for our agents to have open dialogue and access to the decision makers in our community so we understand what's happening. The realtors are at the leading edge of what we do every single day to make sure that we're protecting our industry and protecting consumers. And the work we do in advocacy is of utmost importance. I always say to everyone, if we're nothing else, we're an advocacy organization. We fight every single day to protect private property rights, to make sure the regulatory environment is set in the way that it should be, that honors our republic, our constitution, our foundation, and who we are. We make sure we're fighting for things that are in the best interests of homeowners and consumers and renters and buyers and so on. And so the work we do in advocacy is important. And this actually begins to break down, becoming an advocate, mobilizing, getting out and beginning to make sure that we're politically active in what's taking place, political action, and then the NAR governance model as well. What does that look like at the National Association of Realtors, and how can you begin to get involved in that? I know a number of us, Joe, I believe you're a national director, I'm a national director, there may be one or two others in the room, but that begins to give you an idea of, okay, well, how do you get involved at Florida Realtors in our governance model, our public policy work at the national level? How do you guys think trust and integrity is important in our business? Please, everybody raise your hand on that one. Realtor safety is incredibly important. Professional conduct, pathways to professionalism, document retention of utmost importance to brokers, client satisfaction, ratings and reviews. We know that all these ratings and reviews online are here to stay. This will give you an idea, understanding where they are, how they work, how they play, how you can grow on that, how you can begin to incorporate that into your business. Any of you use technology? Or you guys still have your beeper, your flip phone? Yeah? Page me later. Smartphones, social media, tools and services, using data and statistics. Guys, knowledge is power. You know that cliche, but it is true. Multiple listing services. In fact, you're going to get a lot of technology from Jeff. By the way, you guys are going to notice him and I called each other this morning and figured out we need to wear jeans, a button up, and a blazer. I appreciate Jeff, you nailing the look today. That looks great. Marketing and your online presence, internet marketing rules, incredibly important. You heard Juana even touch a little bit on that as well. It's going to break all this down. As brokers, let me ask you again, do you not see a ton of opportunity for our agents to benefit from going through this program? Amen and amen? Yeah. Safeguard and privacy. How many guys, all the privacy laws that are out there are of utmost importance. We are dealing with transactions. We have access to a lot of personal and important information from so many people. How are we protecting that information? What are our processes and our systems internally to ensure that we do? Our privacy practices of our utmost importance. This is going to cover that. Areas of practice, breaking down the multiple areas within our businesses and what it is that we do. The client, the community, the business, marketing, the transaction, building a team, furthering development and skills. Goes into then the next one, client services, communication basics, building relationships, timely communication. I'm going to go fast now. Professional reputation, working with peers, client interactions, professional partnerships, traits of professionalism, building a reputation, and on and on and on. So let me just ask, this will be rhetorical, what is stopping you from being involved in C2EX? I want to share a couple things for you. Number one, it's free. It's part of your dues. It's already covered. You guys are already paying for it in that. Number two, you can sign up and work at your own pace. It's not like you have to get in and by the end of the week you have to complete it. So if you say, you know what, I'm just going to tackle one module or maybe one competency per week, per month, it doesn't matter. You can work at your own pace, whatever's going to work for you. It's available on any device. I actually was logged in. I was reading to you, by the way, from my personal portal in C2EX. That's where I was looking at all that information from. So you can log in from any device, anywhere. It's going to give you that opportunity to train your agents. So when I ask you the question, what's stopping you from doing it? I think the answer truly is it's only just a personal choice. But I think we would all agree. And the fact that you guys are here speaks to it. And I understand when I say this, you guys are the best of the best. You're here trying to make sure you learn and you lead and you serve in the best ways possible. I would submit to you that adding the C2EX endorsement to your resume is good for you. It's good for your business. It's good for your brand. It's good for your agents. And it's good for all of us collectively as realtors. I went through the program. I actually completed mine in 2020, I believe, is when I completed mine. When it first rolled out, I wasn't an early adopter of it, just so you know. I was a little bit later to the game. I don't know how late, but it was out for about a year, maybe 10 months. And then I was like, okay, I need to get to this. Same reason that you may have dealt with it, which is we're busy. We have a lot of things going on. But then once I got into it, by the way, there was a couple things that I realized. Number one, a lot of the tasks that I needed to complete in there were things I had already done. Going to a city council meeting, going to a school board meeting. School board meetings were easy because I used to be on the school board, right? That one was easy for me. Check, got that one. But going through that process, so you guys are going to find that when you go through and you have to just kind of check off, yes, I've done this, yes, I've done this. There's a lot of stuff you've already done. Being here could be part of that, by the way. So just get started, log in, sign up. You can find the information on the Florida Realtors website, certainly in the National Association of Realtors website. I'd encourage you to log into your portal through NAR. If you want, you can see me by the end. I can send you an invitation from my portal directly to your email so you have it sitting there waiting for you. And I would tell you this, all of us in this room are friendly competitors. We just are. And that's one of the cool and one of the fun and one of the unique things about realtors is we love each other, we work with each other, and then we go out in the streets and we compete with one another. And then when the deal's over, we come back together, we shake hands, and we say, okay, let's go out and let's keep doing good work in the community. Take that competitive edge. Compete against the next peers. Let's raise the standard for one another, and let's make sure that I don't have it and you don't have it and someone else does it. Let's all of us collectively say, we understand this represents who we want to be as realtors and what we want to stand for in the marketplace. Amen? Let me pause and just ask, any questions?
Just for the purpose of everybody, how long will it take if you, let's say, do a model a day, or how long will it take to get?
Yeah, no, it's super easy. All in all, it's probably about 2,000 hours of your time. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Totally kidding. Yeah, next week, you'll have it done. No, honestly, I would say, I'm trying to remember, Each module is probably going to take you 30 minutes, 45 minutes maybe, I'm guessing. Juana, you agree? Yeah? Somewhere in that time frame. It's really not bad. It's really not. Good question. Patrice, did I see you had a question? Same one. Any other questions?
How much does it cost?
How much it cost? Jeff, good question. Already paid for in your dues. By the way, you're going to hear me say it's free, but we know what? Nothing in life is free. You paid for it. It's in your dues. So you might as well take advantage of it. Good question. Yeah, it's actually the national Realtors that makes it available as part of our national membership. Yep. Any other questions? Let me just end by saying this. It truly is. It was an honor to be president of Oscar. It really was. It's an honor to serve on the Florida Realtors leadership team. I don't take for granted that I have the opportunity to serve in that capacity. And I want you to hear the most important word of everything I just said, and the word was serve. My goal, my job, my obligation is to figure out how I can best serve you guys. And so I grew up here, right? I grew up in Poinciana. I went to school here. I raised my family here. This happens to be my home association. So if you need something, whether it's from me personally, whether it's from our staff, whether it's from any of the members of your leadership team, please reach out and let us know. The work we do, the time that we take away from our businesses and our families and everything else to serve at the state or the national level or the local level, we do it because we want to make sure we're making our industry and our community a better place for everybody. So reach out anytime. It's my honor to serve you guys. And Twiz and leadership team, thank you for the opportunity to be here today.
Last but certainly not least, we have Jeff Turner, and I'm going to give him the prize, I think you will too, for having traveled the furthest. So who came from California today? All right, and Jeff's our lucky winner. Oh, Jeff. Jeff Turner thrives at the intersection of technology and human behavior. As a founder and executive, his companies have advanced and depended on advancing technological innovation. And as a speaker, his goal is to remind us to never allow our innovations to move away from the characteristics and behaviors that make us uniquely human. Jeff was founder and president of Real Estate Show's the first do-it-yourself virtual tour in the real estate industry. He currently is an entrepreneur in residence for Second Century Ventures and a co-founder of the recently launched Realtor Association management platform called Tangila. And we have Alexandra Reina-Gill, our president-elect, to thank for us having Jeff today. She attended one of his, I don't know, was virtually or in person, Alexandra?
Virtual at NAR.
Yes.
Presentation from NAR.
It was a program from the National Association of Realtors. Jeff was a phenomenal speaker, and she said he has to come today to talk to our broker owners. So please join me in welcoming Jeff Turner.
I even built my own walk-up music. Thought this might pick you up a little bit after lunch. So, I believe this statement sitting on the screen today is a certainty. This isn't a guess on my part. I believe with 100% confidence that one day, very, very soon, you and your clients will be able to pull up in front of a house, you'll be able to dial a number, and they'll be able to have a conversation with that house. It will have a human voice, it'll talk back to them, and it'll have access to every single piece of data known to man relative to that house, to that community, to the county, to the state, to the nation that that house sits in, and it'll be able to converse with them. And in 40 minutes, I'm going to show you why I believe that is a certainty. But for the next 40 minutes, I'm going to scare the crap out of you. And I want you to have a certain sense of awe about this. We are already in a post-artificial intelligence world. There is nothing in your life, the gentleman sitting there snapping a photograph right now, or videotaping, or whatever it is that he's doing, every aspect of what's built into that phone. Which phone is that one, by the way? Galaxy 10. I've got an iPhone 13 in my pocket that has a neural chip built into a phone. a piece of artificial intelligence technology that didn't exist 5 years ago. And so what I want you to understand is we're sitting, contrary to what the first speaker said, last year did not suck in real estate. In 2020, sales of homes were the highest since 2006. The estimated transaction fees, the transaction fees associated with those sales is between $175 and $200 billion, which means that there is transaction automation potential between $110 and $130 billion. That's the market prize for real estate technology companies who can automate the back end of the process. And all of this money, if you read any news at all, you know that tons of venture capital money has flowed into real estate technology in the past few years, and it's going to continue because of this fact. The back end is far greater than the front end in terms of potential for reward, 10 times bigger than what's been addressed so far. You think what Zillow has accomplished is something? You have not witnessed anything yet. And so we're about to enter a period where the only tech trend you need to be paying attention to is automation. Anything that can be automated will be automated. Full stop. Anything you do on a daily basis is repetitive. Anything that you do that you find to be tedious, anything that you do that you hate to do today, it is going to be automated. So we're going to go on a little journey, and before I scare the crap out of you, I need you to understand that automated doesn't equal no realtor. It doesn't equal no broker. In fact, I believe that while it may reduce the number of realtors required to sustain even the current volumes of transactions, it doesn't eliminate the need for the best of the best. And just like we've been saying this whole thing, we preach to the choir when we stand up in front of groups like this, right? That you're here because you want to learn. There's a whole slew of people out there that aren't sitting in your seats today. So count yourself among the lucky to be as motivated as you are to do it. You're going to need to stay that way. And it's going to need to be constant, and you're going to need to pay attention. So the win is removing costs and friction. How do we remove cost and friction from the parts of the transaction that cause the vast majority of the problems? What is that? It's that time from the moment somebody signs a contract to the time that they close. Almost, if you look at customer satisfaction reviews and ratings, the vast majority of the complaints that people have aren't actually about the realtor. They're about someone tangential to the process that had to be involved in order to move that contract through that process. And so this is where we sit. I believe that there are 4 tech revolutions that are going to impact literally the automation of everything. And I'm going to begin talking very, very quickly. And just trust that if you miss something or that you want it, that Twiz is going to get you whatever part of this presentation you need to remind you about it, okay? So let's go. Number 1, artificial intelligence. It's actually the power behind it all. There is nothing in your life today that isn't being impacted by artificial intelligence. The fact that these lights are on right now is impacted by artificial intelligence. Every single stock sale that takes place in America today. Do you realize that 90% of stock transactions are not performed by a human? They are literally programmatic. That wasn't the case 20 years ago. 20 years ago, flip it on the side. 90% were performed by humans, 10% were performed programmatically. Today, it's 90% programmatic. When the stock market crashes, you can blame a robot because they're the only ones really making transactions today. So it's the power behind everything. So where did we get here? This has come up, if you'll notice, back in 1950, when the very first computer chips were being developed. We're going to talk about this in a second. At the very beginnings of actual computing, scientists were already thinking about artificial intelligence and theories about how to develop computers that thought and acted more like humans. What was missing was the power to actually do it. All the theories have been being worked on for the last 50 years, and it wasn't until 2012, you'll see where this comes into play here, because somebody wanted you to be able to play Madden NFL on your TV, NVIDIA came up with a chip that would allow you to process all of these millions and millions and millions of polygons per second that are required to show 3D on a television screen. And that changed what was possible in proving out artificial intelligence theories. So it feels like it's new. It feels like we're talking about it more now. But in reality, we've been through a couple of different AI winters where other things took our attention. There was this thing called the internet, you may have heard of it, that distracted people's attention from artificial intelligence, but the attention is back on it now. So the goal here is to understand how difficult it is to place yourself into a future that is exponential. We sort of experience things linearly, but technology is advancing at a pace that is almost impossible to understand. And so I could give you several different ways to look at this. I can go on to Amazon today, and for $9, I can buy 64,000 megabytes of memory. In 1956, an IBM 350 drive contained 52 24-inch discs. It weighed over a ton, and it had 3.75 megabytes. Each megabyte cost $9,200. That same drive, if it could have existed, and it couldn't, it would take a building larger than the Pentagon to house the memory in that little thumb drive you can buy for $9. It would have cost $588 million. I took a photo this morning with my Sony a7R II that was shot in 14-bit RAW, and I'm throwing out all these things for you just to show you how smart I am. In 14-bit RAW, it's 82 megabytes in size. A single image, the amount of data, 14 bits per pixel. It's like a digital negative. And so we have access, and we have the ability, and we have the necessity to analyze data at speeds and volumes that has never existed before. And so if we look at 2021, this is where we sit today in terms of computing speed on a linear scale, okay? This is where we were in 2011. Now, I guarantee you in 2011, if we were sitting in this same room, you would be thinking, oh my God, we have progressed so far in the last 10 years. And the truth is, we can redraw this chart every single year, and it will look exactly the same. And so in 10 years, we're going to look back on this pinnacle. We think we sit on top of this amazing wealth of technology. And in 10 years, we will look back at 2021 in the same way that we look back at 2011. In the same way that in 2011, we looked back at 2001. And our minds just don't have the ability to grasp the level of change that comes with that kind of exponential technology. But hear me when I say this. There is nothing you can do to stop it. And so you need to learn to get comfortable with it. Okay? So, another example. How fast is generative? If I say GAN, how many of you know what a generative adversarial network is? Okay, good. So basically, this whole concept of an adversarial network was developed in a bar. All the best ideas, by the way, happen in bars. I am absolutely 100% proof positive of that. So this guy named Ian Goodwell is sitting in a bar with a bunch of his geeky friends, and they begin arguing about an idea that he had while he was sitting drinking a beer. And the idea was, He said, you know, I can take this neural network, and I think if I make this neural network compete against this neural network, it'll do a better job of training it to do something I want it to do. Like, I don't know, build a human face from scratch. And so he went home that night, and that's what he did. You know, because that's what geeks do. They leave bars and they go home and they create something that has never existed before. And that image that you see on the left in this is 2014. That's the first image that his GAN produced. Last week, I did this. Now, I've been talking about thispersondoesnotexist.com for the last 3 years. How many of you watched 60 Minutes this past weekend? You would have seen this on 60 Minutes last week. You would have seen another app that I've been talking about for 3 years on 60 Minutes last week. The world is finally catching on to what is possible. That is a human face created from scratch. This person does not exist. If you go to thispersondoesnotexist.com and you just keep refreshing that page over and over, every single time you refresh that page, it's generating a realistic looking human face. If you could see this up close, there are pores on her skin. There are blemishes. Her teeth aren't perfect. They're slightly yellow. These generative adversarial networks are in a constant state of learning and competing. They never stop learning and competing. And so today, one of the ways that you can somewhat tell that these are fake is by the background. Sometimes the backgrounds don't look realistic because they were trained to produce a human face. So that's how far we've come. The amazing thing is, it's all just math. Everything I'm going to show you today is a piece of math. It's a math equation made that face. And here's the crazy part. Ian Goodwell doesn't even know how. He just knows that it works. It's one of the scariest parts of some of this. It's just this big black box that you look into. It's opaque. There's no transparency to what's happening in there. And so part of what our job is as technologists is to provide more transparency about what's taking place in these processes so that we can all become more comfortable with it. But even without that transparency, it's going to happen. So it's all math. It's really, really complex math, but it's still just math. And so I want to talk to you about, we often think of robots replacing manual labor. Like we've gotten comfortable, maybe not happy, but comfortable with the fact that we've had robots come in and replace humans inside of auto factories, right? We know that robots replace humans in certain kinds of jobs. What I'm here to tell you is robots have the potential to replace lots and lots and lots and lots of tasks, even in a space as purely creative as the space that Adobe operates in. Adobe makes Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Lightroom. These are all creative applications. And so when a company like Adobe says, we think of it as an AI-first world that's coming, you need to pay attention. Because what they're saying is, we're going to create these intelligent assistants that are going to allow creatives to do more with less time. We're going to take away the tedium that's involved in some of the creative process, and we're going to replace that by an intelligent piece of math. So every time you hear algorithm, think math. Every time you hear robot, rethink what you view a robot as. Stop thinking about these mechanical arms that are lifting up parts in a factory, although those are getting more intelligent too, and we don't have any time for that today. And start thinking about a piece of code, a piece of math. That's the new robot. You need to rethink what a robot is, okay? So, if you're in the creative world, so my sister, I'm proud to say, is one of the best digital photo editors on the planet. She does work for Victoria's Secret and Pottery Barn. They are very exacting in the requirements for what it is. This process that you're watching right here, I accomplish with a few sliders: iris visibility, iris flare, enlarge the eyes, whiten it, eye enhancer, eye removal. All I'm doing is moving sliders around. And it is automatically masking this face and identifying via AI what parts need to be changed and what parts don't. This used to take a digital photo editor hours. it can now be accomplished in seconds. And so now what's left for the creative person? Don't worry about the tedium of masking, just spend your time being creative. See, not everyone has access to this software, but you could. It's only $99. And so this same software does this. It already knows what the sky is. Artificial intelligence allows it to create absolutely perfect representations. This isn't, I know you think it's magic when you send your file off to a company and it comes back where the skies were placed. It's not magic. It feels like magic, but it's not magic. And the truth is, it all should be automated because automation scales. I'm currently consulting with a company in India called StyleDod. I actually have challenged them to create a talking house. They're the ones I've challenged to do it. But I've also challenged them to fully automate all of the image editing that today you have to send off and you have to wait 24 hours to get back. Why? Why? Automation scales. Why not do this in mass at the time that you upload your photos? Why should you ever have to worry again about whether or not your photos look good? A piece of AI should be able to understand this and do it automatically. And quite frankly, I think it's a race to zero, meaning it's going to happen automatically and it's going to cost you nothing eventually, so companies should be the first to get there. If a product is a race to zero, get there first. That's my thinking. So I've challenged them to do that. This will be out and available soon. I've also challenged them to do what was their original vision: automate virtual staging. Think about that for a second. Automate virtual staging. Why do you virtually stage a house?
Great interest.
To create interest?
You want an imagination.
Allow that buyer to imagine what it's like. If the house doesn't have any furniture, imagine that buyer to imagine what it's like to be there. Why do you only present one version of that imagination? Because it takes too long and it costs too much. This, what you're seeing, was done automatically. Why not present multiple versions of what it might be like to be in the house? You don't today because the absence of automation doesn't allow it to be scaled. And so the goal is, how do we create relationships with companies that understand what parts of the process need to be removed, where automation can come in and free up your imagination, or to rehumanize time, which we're going to talk about a little bit more. One of the things we do at NAR Reach is we invest in companies with a very specific filter. We are unlike any other venture capital company on the planet. There's one specific filter that we use for technologies, and it is this. This technology must keep the realtor at the center of the transaction. I bristle every time I hear someone say NAR is not making investments in technology. I will tell you right now, NAR is making some of the best investments in technology that you have ever seen. DocuSign's just the tip of the iceberg on what NAR has invested in, because often what's required to allow a technology to advance is the very kind of efforts that only NAR can do to pass through laws that make it possible for these technologies to thrive. But in order to do that, you have to understand what they are and what their benefit is to realtors and brokers across the country. And so automation scales. One of the companies we've invested in is a company called Paraffin. They are in this year's NAR Reach commercial class. What does it do? What you're witnessing on the screen is its ability to take in the brand standards of something like a Marriott or a multifamily housing company that wants to build certain kinds of apartments on land. And it is using AI automatically generating all of the site designs, including all of the floor plans and models and all of the pro formas to allow you to analyze which of these is going to be the most profitable and which piece of land is the right one to make the investment on. It removes $50,000 to $60,000 per site cost from that process. It's a piece of software as a service. It's amazing. And it's all just math. Revolution number 2, non-fungible tokens. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about blockchain and what its potential is. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about cryptocurrency, but if you've paid any attention at all to what's happened in the art world, the digital art world, relative to non-fungible tokens, you'll know that it has literally taken over the art world. Why? Why has that happened? We all know why you might want to own an original Picasso, right? The original is more valuable than a copy. How do you do that with a digital file? If I'm a digital artist and I create a unique digital piece of art, how do I do that? Well, you need to create some way for a phone to ring in the middle of a presentation automatically so that you've got a way to distract people from the thing you're talking about. You need to find a way for you to understand which one of these, because I can, as quickly as I can hit Command-C and Command-V, I can copy and paste. And I've got a copy of that digital file. How do I know which one's the original? So that's where non-fungible tokens come in. The internet is programmable information. The blockchain is programmable scarcity. Right now, the most appropriate things to put onto the blockchain to use non-fungible tokens are things that are digital, because it's easy. But we're going to very quickly progress to the place where this is going to happen in real estate as well, and it's going to enable kinds of ownership that today do not exist. So this made news, you probably saw it. Someone paid 288 Ether, or the equivalent of, roughly $514,000 for that, what you're seeing on the screen. Now, what I'm showing you on the screen is a copy. I don't even actually own this copy. I actually did a screen recording of another person who had the actual copy. This is a copy of a copy of a copy. But someone paid $514,000 to own the original, and this woke everyone up. Like, this was the moment. Someone paid $514,000 for a digital 3D house. It has 0 square feet. But here's the cool thing. As a result, we get people like Natalia Karyaneva, who's the CEO of Proppy, another NAR Reach-backed company. She was a part of our NAR Reach class in 2019. This statement is true. The current transfer of property ownership is extremely labor intensive. Think about just the legal document that you were explained about earlier. The amount of effort that has to go into all of that, it's incredible. And so what's Proppy's mission? They want to remove all of that friction. So what did they do? A couple of months ago, they did the first real property sale via NFT. What did that take? Well, that property needed to already be in an LLC in order for it to take place. Just so happens that there was another venture capital guy who was very, very interested in participating in an NFT auction, and he just happened to own a house inside of an LLC already, so it was very easy for them to do it. But the transfer of ownership took place instantly, once it was paid for entirely in Bitcoin. Like, think about that for a second. Okay, now let's take that back to something that is probably even more empowering and something that you're going to want to understand even more. Companies like Addy. Right now, Addy is only available in Canada, but if you can see along the bottom, 1,300 Canadians, 400 Canadians invested in that property. 1,000 Canadians invested in that property. What are they doing? They're using blockchain technology. If I got $1, if I'm in Canada and I have $1, I can own a piece of this commercial property. They put up a full prospectus on what's going to be happening in what property, how long they intend to own the property, what the potential return on investment is, and you get to make an investment. Imagine that. Imagine you were in college and you had an extra $100 around, and you went to someone and say, what should I do with this $100? What if they could have told you, you know what, I know you only have $100, but I'm going to suggest you invest that in owning a piece of commercial real estate. That would have been awesome, right? Well, guess what? It's awesome. It's possible now. It's possible because of math. And in the United States, the concept is coming too. Do yourself a favor, go check out Arrived Homes. This isn't a part of the REACH portfolio. This is just one I'm paying attention to. I'm inside of my account right now. This minimum is $100. The minimum investment is 10 shares, $100. What are they doing? They're buying residential properties for rent. Some of these properties are already rented out. You can look at their projections and their potential for revenue and what they want to do. You're typically holding these properties for 5 to 7 years, but you don't have to have $20,000 to make the investment. You can literally invest $100 and own a share of this property. Now, I'm not going to talk about the legal ramifications. I'm not going to talk about everything that's associated with that. You know, do your own research on this. But the potential for a completely new way of thinking about new models for buying homes, new ways for people to invest exist because of math, because of non-fungible tokens, because of the blockchain, because of cryptocurrency. So don't just think about this in terms of, should I buy Bitcoin? What you should be constantly thinking of is, how do I reimagine what this looks like for my clients? What is the potential? What can I expose? How can I participate? Third tech revolution is virtualization. You know, Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Microsoft, in their last 2 annual reports, talked about this concept of the metaverse. They fully intend to create a completely alternate reality that people will live and work in, where your avatar will communicate with other avatars. You will go to work in this virtual space, and you will sit around and your avatar will be animated, and you'll talk to people, and they believe that you're going to strap on these really uncomfortable glasses, and you're going to sit there and, you know, have these conversations. Guess what? I know that sounds stupid. I would be willing to bet money that my children are going to do that. See, we can walk into distant places from our couch. We can visit worlds that don't actually exist. That's already possible today. All of these things we're talking about are already possible today. And so what I really want to, from a real estate standpoint, is to understand what the consumer's at. My son bought a car 5 months ago using Carvana. He never saw that car, never touched that car, never drove that car. The car just showed up in my driveway. He never consulted with me. I wish he would, because then I would have told him how much the insurance was going to cost and that he didn't have enough money to actually buy this car. But he did. And he had confidence in it because he was able to tour this car virtually. He was able to open up the doors. He was able to see all the dings. He was able to look around on the inside. This is a flippin' car. And see, this is how we're being trained. And today, we've got access to technology that's amazing. I've been showing this image, this same exact image, for the last 3 years. This technology is 3 years old. It's an 8K 360 video camera. Think about the math involved in this. In real time, it is stitching together 8,000 pixel images in full 360. This is a paused frame from video. Think about the quality there. Imagine walking into a house with a 360 camera and just walking and talking. You don't even have to pay attention to whether the camera is facing you or not. You can talk about what's going on, and the consumer, in listening to you, can pause that, or they can look at whatever they want. They can stop it in mid-presentation and act like a full 3D tour. All of this is possible today at resolutions that are amazing. And so I believe this is a true statement. 3D 360 photo and video, no image technology has ever been more perfectly suited for real estate, and you guys absolutely refuse to use it. I don't get it. I've never gotten it. It befuddles me to this day. Yes?
It's extremely difficult to edit if you don't know what you're doing.
It's extremely difficult to edit unless you snap a flippin' photo and use a piece of software that it just allows you to display it. or perhaps maybe the MLS should get on board, and instead of only accepting two-dimensional photos, they do what Facebook does and understand that I've just uploaded a 360 photo, and let's display that thing right in the MLS. See, none of these things are technological obstacles. The fact that you're complaining about the fact that it's difficult to edit is crazy. It's only difficult to edit because no one in the industry is stepping up to actually make this something that's standardized. NAR, for the last several years, has done a survey, right? We are not delivering, even after the pandemic. All of the companies that I consult with that are in this space said, oh, pandemic, that's our salvation. Now people finally have to go tour homes virtually. Finally, this is going to be our winning moment. No, it's not. Because I know the truth. You don't need a 360 photo to sell a house. In fact, most of the time, you don't even need a photo. In 2020, more homes sold in Rochester, New York with 0 photos than had actual virtual tours. So, this is 2 years ago at the NAR buyer-seller survey. 84% of consumers said they wanted to see a VR tour prior to visiting a house in person. What percentage of realtors said, yeah, I know that? 97%. The other 3%, I have no idea what they were paying attention to. 97% of realtors say, we understand this is what consumers want. 84% of consumers said they wanted it. 2 years ago, the number was 2.85%. That's the number of homes in the 50 markets that I had humans go and count it in that actually had an actual virtual tour on the house. I challenge you to do this today, because I just did it about a month and a half ago. Go onto Realtor.com, pick 10 random zip codes. Go filter by 3D tour. And tell me what percentages you find. Because my average, when I did it 2 months ago, was 5%. Now, if you read the headlines, they'll tell you that during the pandemic, use of virtual technology increased by X hundred and some odd %. That is correct. We went from 2.85% to just under 5%. We still suck. So, again, forget about whether or not a house will sell or not. Of course a house is going to sell if it's priced right in the right location. What you're missing is the opportunity for certain kinds of automation. What you're missing is the opportunity to take advantage of the data. Can you think about the data that sits inside of a single 360-degree image? I can see every single object in that room. And so, companies like Pillar to Post teamed up with one of our NAR Reach companies, and they now, when you get one of, not the basic just comes with the 360 photos, but if you get their next 2 levels of home inspections, they create a floor plan from the 360 photos without measuring, and they place all of the comments from that inspection into the rooms for context so that the buyer has that room that they can look around and see. And now the buyer doesn't have to call you up every other day to say, can I go back and take a look at the home? I just want to go see this, or I just want to go see that. It's all placed in context. And so they take that floor plan and all of that information in this tour, and then they connect that to another NAR Reach company called Punchlist that automatically, again, with a piece of math, generates an estimate and guarantees repairs built only from that Pillar to Post inspection report. Think about that. A full estimate, not a maybe this is, no. They then give the buyer or the seller an app that says, I want to fix this, this, and this. They manage the process and they guarantee it. Using nothing but that data. See, if you don't get involved in understanding the importance of this technology, not just from a marketing, we always think in terms of transaction, marketing, sales, marketing and sales. It's more than that. It's way more than that. So virtualization is also a key to understanding where potential automation is in removing friction from parts of the transaction that today are pain points for consumers. That's your job as a broker. So, the last one. Let me check my time. Okay, we're getting very, very close to time here. I'm gonna go really, really fast because this, to me, this is the holy grail of all holy grails, is natural language processing. It's HOW 2000. Because what do we really want? We really want this to be true. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. It literally feels like magic. And I remember when Amazon's Alexa first came out, it felt like magic to me. It no longer feels like magic because most of the time when I ask Alexa to do something, she comes back with I found something on the web, and then she reads me something that's wrong. But here's the truth. Amazon wants to run your life. And I kind of want them to. You know, if I could use Amazon Alexa to buy some movie tickets, would I want her to say, hey, you want me to make a restaurant reservation for you, you know, around the movie? Of course. Why wouldn't I want that? When I sold my first company, I took over this group for a big digital pre-media company that bought us. I got my first actual assistant. I'm like, this is the greatest thing on earth. I have a human who makes my appointments for me. Gosh, why haven't I done this before? Of course we want that. And in truth, we have one sitting in our pocket. I'm going to tell you how that works in a few minutes. But the war that's going on, the race that's happening, is an accuracy race. Google, Microsoft, IBM, Apple, Amazon, they're all racing to harness this natural language processing power. And accuracy, the ability to understand our words and our intent, becomes the key to this being the next game-changing aspect of computer interface. So let's talk about Google. Google Duplex was announced in May of 2018. Some of you may have seen this. They demonstrated how Google Duplex, you know, a piece of math, picked up the phone and called to make an appointment at a hairdresser for somebody. Have you seen it? If you haven't seen it, just go Google Duplex. This is May of 2018. They said, it's not quite ready, we're just testing. And I watched it and I was blown away. It was like magic. A computer was talking to a human on the phone. Okay? That was May of 2018. But I thought to myself, my cynical side of me on the technology side said, yeah, but that's a demo. That's just a demo. Well, 1 year later, May of 2019, here's what this sounds like in the real world. Now, I want you to pay very close attention to this. This is a piece of math talking to a human, and you can understand the piece of math better than you can the human. This is a real conversation between Google Duplex and a restaurant owner.
Hello? Hi, I'm calling to make a reservation. I'm Google's automated booking service, so I'll record the call. Could I book a table for Tuesday the 21st?
Okay. Hello?
I'd like to make a reservation for a client. It's for Tuesday the 21st.
Okay. Actually, how many people?
It's for 10 people.
10 people?
Math recognizes that the human forgot to ask for his name and reminds the human, did you need my name for this reservation? And the human goes, oh yes, what name should I put it under? A piece of math did that. And so today, as of October 12th, 2021, if you've got Google Assistant on your phone and you tell Google Assistant, I don't care whether it's an iPhone or your phone, if you've got Google Assistant on your phone and you say, hey Google, can you make me a reservation at this restaurant tonight for 7 p.m.? If that restaurant isn't already connected to OpenTable, which makes it really, really easy because it's just a couple of APIs talking to each other, the math will pick up the phone and call the restaurant and make a reservation. And the only state that it can't do it in or doesn't do it in right now is Louisiana, and you can come to your own conclusions about why. So that's today. Literally, 49 out of 50 states, you can do that today with the phone in your pocket. Think about that for a second. That's what's possible. That's not the future. That's now. And so then there's WaveNet. This is programmable speech. This is Google's API for allowing you to build speech, text-to-speech, into your website using speech synthesis markup language. And I'm going to power through this real quick, but I want you to hear this, and then I want you to understand that this can be programmed via an API.
For the skeptics in the crowd, this is an example of Google's commercially available text-to-speech capabilities. Notice the subtle changes in intonation. Statements like this sound pretty good. But, can it handle a question mark? It sure can. I think you have to admit, this is pretty impressive.
Translate too, and they've made amazing advances in the ability to translate. So I could take some text, put it into Google Translate, translate it into Spanish, take it back into WaveNet, or connect them both via API because they're both APIs.
Se puedan superar. Puede producir contenido en español tan fácilmente como en inglés. Google hace que tanto el software de traducción como el de síntesis de voz estén disponibles de forma abierta.
All of this is programmable. You'll notice this little code. HTML is what makes it possible to see things on the web. SSML is what makes it possible to hear things on the web.
In pause. I can speak in cardinals. Your number is 10. Or I can speak in ordinals. You are 10th in line. Or I can even speak in digits. The digits for 10 are 10.
Now, this is today, and it's not just Google. Other things are doing amazing things in this space. I want you to go, if you've got a friend who owns a restaurant, a local restaurant, I want you to go and look up goodcall.com. What they're doing, if you're a single business and you need a single line for free, they will give you a robot who will answer the phone for you so that you don't have to take your time away from the humans who are already in your restaurant to answer the myriad of simple questions that people call you up to ask you questions about. Today, a human voice will answer those phones. Excuse me. A piece of math with a voice will answer those phone calls for them. For free, no charge. No charge. Why? Because that business will grow. And then they'll charge them. That's the way software works. Okay? IBM Watson, you know, the one that won Jeopardy. Don't forget about IBM. IBM's still in this game. You don't hear about them as much because they focus on enterprise conversations, like with banks.
Thank you for calling ABC Bank's AI assistant.
I help you today?
I'd like to make a credit card payment.
No problem. I can help you with that. Can you tell me your name?
It's Brian.
I'll need to verify you. What are the last 4 digits of your social security number?
2004.
Great.
Actually, what is my total balance?
Your current credit card balance is $5,298.32.
Oh, that's a bit high. Can you tell me the last few transactions so I can take a look?
Sure. Text your email.
Text would be great.
I sent you the text message. Please review your transactions.
Non-stop, 24/7, every single day, available, easy to reach. You don't think this is what consumers want? You don't think this is what consumers are getting used to? Do you think this is not possible in real estate? I'm sorry. Most of the questions, the initial questions that somebody asks when they're sitting in front of a house are knowable and answerable by an assistant who has access to data, who doesn't really need to turn anything over to you until they step into an area where a realtor needs to get involved. If you had a human assistant, you would have them do that, right? So, Well Said Labs, this is a company I stumbled on recently. It's AI text-to-speech, specifically trained for narration and promo voiceover, and I want you to hear this because I want you to understand just how far this has come and just how good this can be when the artificial intelligence is trained to a specific task. When I saw this, I was blown away. I called the CEO up, I got him on a Zoom meeting, and I said, explain this to me. And he said, we decided we would focus on one task only, short promo videos and how-tos. Our bot is not going to be able to read a book to you and have it feel good, because that's not what we trained it to do. But listen to this.
Hello, my fine human audience.
What you're witnessing is the power of modern machine learning algorithms to produce natural sounding text to voice. Notice how I say this specific phrase as compared to this specific phrase. I'm very coachable.
I run a company. I produce how-to videos. I produce promos. For $99 a month, I have unlimited access to as much voiceover as I want. Think about raise your hand if you've ever hired voiceover talent in this room. And if you haven't, that's fine. I'm telling you right now, it costs a lot more than $99, okay? This is a promo video that I created by simply typing into Well Said Labs to get the sound out for me to put over a demo of my new software product, okay? This is a piece of math talking.
Making you and your staff work too hard. Hello, I'd like to introduce Tangilla. Tangilla is the operating system for modern realtor associations, a new association management platform developed specifically and exclusively for realtor associations.
Another voiceover in my life, and neither should you. And so, Descript. Imagine your chatbot has your voice. See, this is what Descript does.
And I'm a real person. And I am Catherine. I'm Catherine's overdub voice. I created Catherine by recording 10 minutes of audio into Descript. Thank you. No, thank you. It's hard to express how grateful I am. Now I can edit my recordings as easily as I edit text. No, thank you. It's hard to tell you just how grateful I am. Now I can edit my recordings as easily as I edit text. I can't wait to see what we create together.
Changes how you edit audio. This changes how you edit podcasts. This changes how you create things. I couldn't resist. It was during the pandemic, but I still couldn't resist. I went up in my closet. I recorded myself reading 30 minutes of the original Wizard of Oz because that's what was required. I wasn't in a sound booth. I didn't have the full breadth of my voice being captured in a great microphone. But this is my voice, digitized by a piece of math.
Not my voice, and this is not my voice either.
But this is my personal digital voice. What you're hearing has been digitized by the Descript app based on reading 30 minutes of the original version of The Wizard of Oz.
And it produced my voice. So this is also scary. This next company I'm going to show you is based in the Ukraine. They're going to have less rules than we have.
Hey guys, I'm just trying to demo our voice conversion technology. We'll be converting my voice to the voice of Barack Obama.
What we've said consistently is that there has to be a political settlement to bring about genuine peace in the region.
The system captures the idiosyncrasies of how I say something each time I say it. I can say the same thing many times. The same thing many times. The same thing many times. And each time the recording will be correspondingly different. This makes voice conversion suitable for applications where the result should have the personality and range of emotion of a real person.
Scary, right? I told you I was going to scare you. You need to understand what's possible today. Are we already there? Yeah. Why? Because we've already been trained to not even have to hear a voice in order to communicate properly. And I realize I'm over my time, and I realize that's probably why Twiz is standing up and pacing in the back of the room. I totally get it. But I think it's important that you understand what is truly possible today and why we don't need a piece of math to pass the Turing test to fool us into thinking that it's a voice. We spend most of our time, and some of you have been doing it while I've been speaking, staring at our phones, responding to people via text. We just need the bots to communicate properly via text, and we'll be fine with it. And so we say this. In 2025, what they'll be saying about this technology is, yeah, but it can't love you back. Before we were saying, yeah, but it's never really, you're never really going to be able to have a conversation with it. Well, it's not a real conversation. Well, yeah, but it can't love you back. Guess what? I was sitting with my daughter yesterday, and I said, Alexa, I'd like to have a conversation with you. And it gave me one of their challenge practices, and it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. And I was able to talk to it. See, we're in really interesting times. And so your ability to harness this kind of technology, like GPT-3, in 2019, they didn't release GPT-2 because they thought it was too dangerous. 6 months later, they released it. 6 months later, they released GPT-3. GPT-3 is the most amazing thing I have ever seen. I'm 60 years old. I've been doing this since 1984. I'm telling you right now, GPT-3 is the most amazing thing I have ever seen, because this top line is the only line I fed it. No training, nothing. I used an application called InferKit, which I now use to help prompt me in creative thinking. When I get stuck, I just take my last sentence, I put it into InferKit, and it spits out some next lines for me. That's the only thing I fed it. The National Association of Realtors Business Issue Policy Committee agenda was squarely focused on emerging technology trends. This second paragraph, you could lift this right now and put it on NAR's website, and it would sound absolutely fine. At NAR, we aim to support innovation in real estate technology, and we consider new technologies such as the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and blockchain to be critical building blocks to help advance our members' success and create the experience buyers expect. That's exactly what NAR is trying to accomplish with technology. And this text is 100% original, except for that little line, which is, it's probably one of the most common lines said today. Analyzed by another piece of AI, which is Grammarly. By the way, if you're not using Grammarly, you should be using Grammarly. I can't live without it, okay? So I'm gonna power through this. A robot wrote that. One of the challenges I gave to StyleDot was upload a photo, classify it, analyze the objects, feed it into GPT-3, see what comes back. This was the very first attempt with no training. It wrote this description based upon nothing but a photo being uploaded. See, there is more possible today than you can possibly imagine. And so the goal here is to get to the place where you exercise this at scale. So what's the difference between chatbots and others? Chatbots and conversational AI, it's sophistication in being able to answer letters. I'm going to skip this video, but I'm going to make this entire presentation available to you, okay? Conversational AI doesn't require pathways in order to engage in a conversation, whereas the chatbots that you're used to today require some scripting in order to move through. So you're more restricted. You've got more guardrails around that conversation. And yet, even though the potential of conversational AI is literally even beyond my ability to comprehend, today, there are over 300,000 chatbots on Facebook. Look at chatbot market value, where it's gone. 2016, it was 703 million. 2024, it's gonna be 9.6 billion. In 2020, it was 2.6 billion. This isn't going away, and they're getting better. Even the chatbots that are not conversational AI are getting better. And so your objective should be, how do I analyze this as a broker? How do I make certain that I'm taking advantage of these tools to free up time and space? So companies like Ylopo, which is another NAR Reach company, their Raya text-based automated ISA is part conversational AI, part scripting, meant to free up time, to rehumanize time. Why should you have to answer simple questions if you don't have to while you're sitting at your child's softball game, if you've got a way for the consumer to be addressed and spoken to? Why not make your agents more efficient? Because the future is not robots taking away jobs. Let's call them cobots, where they're like coworkers, where they do all the mundane tasks that free up the human to do the things that humans should do, to exercise judgment, to give advice, to actually make connections, human connections with people. Take all of the tedium out of the work and give back the time so that we can rehumanize that time and be better at it. In the end, this is something you need to take. You know, William Shatner went into space yesterday. Captain Kirk finally got into space. There are already flying cars. You just don't have one. So the future is already here. It's just not very evenly distributed. So I say again, one day soon, you and your clients are going to be able to have a conversation with every house on the market. And here's why I believe that to be true. This took place less than 2 months ago at Google's I/O conference. Very quickly, and I'm sorry I'm over, Twiz.
Excited to share our latest breakthrough in natural language understanding, Lambda. It's a language model for dialogue applications. And it's open domain, which means it's designed to converse on any topic. And while it's still in research and development, we've been using it internally to explore novel interactions. For example, say you wanted to learn about one of my favorite planets, Pluto. Lambda already understands quite a lot about Pluto and millions of other topics. Let's listen to a conversation the team had with Pluto a few days ago.
I'm so curious about you.
I sense your excitement. Ask me anything.
Tell me what I would see if I visited.
You would get to see a massive canyon, some frozen icebergs, geysers, and some craters.
It sounds beautiful.
I assure you it is worth the trip. However, you need to bring your coat.
Conversation with a paper airplane. Do you think you're not going to be able to have a conversation with a house? Come on, the amount of data that sits out there on houses, of course you're going to be able to have a conversation with a house. So what's my advice to brokers today? What should you do? Don't just automate existing processes. That will give you incremental gains. Yes, absolutely. Imagine new ones. Think about things that are possible when you've got a robot that can do one aspect of the job and a human that can take over when it's time for a human to do a human's job. Stay really, really focused on you and your customers' pain points. And don't be afraid to explore those edges, the outer edges of emerging real estate technology. Create some space to explore, okay? I told you we'd talk about, well, maybe we can talk about this in the car on the way back to the Florida Realtors, but you're gonna have to get really good as a broker of managing this trade-off between creepiness, privacy, and ease of use. Because there are some tools that are gonna make your life really, really easy, but they're also gonna be really creepy, and they're also gonna have some privacy concerns that you're going to have to use incredible judgment on. That's the scariness of artificial intelligence, is what it delivers to you in terms of power and its potential for you to need to build moral crush zones. How do I protect myself from the moral ambiguity that's going to come as a result of implementing these technologies? I've got this belief, very strong belief, that you plus technology is greater than any single technology. I also have the belief that brokers who don't adequately utilize technology will be destroyed by brokers who do. I believe that's a fact. And so there are 8 new skills that I think you and your team need to have. I don't go through them. I'm happily going to send these to you. You can go through these on your own. I certainly don't need to read a slide to you today, okay? These new skills, I believe, are critical for you to understand. And rehumanizing time is one of the most important aspects of it. We've got to find a way to create a true differentiation between what artificial intelligence can do and what our powers and skills are as human beings. And the most important thing, you want to beat AI? Make better art, sing better songs, write better poetry, draw better pictures, tell better stories, be a better human. That's how you beat AI. And I'll leave you with this. In a world of increasing automation, people who can genuinely connect with others will be more valuable, not less, period. So that's what's possible today. Go ye therefore.